Sup, ladies and gentlemen, Accolonn here, and as always joined by Rurikhan, and welcome back to the Frozen Sodium Throne. I believe this is episode 26?
Yes, indeed. Episode 26, sir.
Yeah, we missed last week because I was away. Because I was moving.
Yes.
So I don't have internet or a computer or anything. I don't even have a home. Well, I had a home, but I had to move from one home to the other. So things happened, but we are back. How's everyone doing? I hope you're well. You can watch us over on Spotify, basically YouTube, Spotify, Amazon, like everywhere.
And by the way,
that there are podcasts.
Spotify is no longer just giving video to Joe Rogan. We can actually put video on Spotify as well. So some of the latest episodes have been video on Spotify, which is good. So you can watch it video here, watch it video on Spotify, or listen to audio on pretty much every imaginable podcasting platform that I can think of.
Dude, here's the question though. If Spotify is now allowing video, what's stopping people from just also uploading their normal videos to Spotify?
I don't know, because it's like I'm not manually uploading this to Spotify. They have a service called Anchor, and Anchor does like all of this distribution for me because I'm lazy, dude. I can't be like, oh, let me upload this to Apple and then upload this to Spotify. I just upload it to Anchor, and it was just like, when I was messing with Anchor like a couple of episodes ago, they just said, oh, by the way, we support video now. And I was like, oh, okay. So I usually render like a lower bitrate version because, you know, it's still some heavy duty files. Like, you know that when we upload this to YouTube, it's like 20 gigs. Yeah. I expected as much. Whenever I do videos that go like, you know, when we do like live discussions and the video is like 45 to an hour long. Yeah, that's like a good 10 gig, if not more sometimes. Yeah.
So yeah, I expect it to be really fucking big. But you've got pretty high bitrate anyways, right? Like your download, what's your upload?
I have 100 up, 100 down here in my house. I have like 500 down, 100 up. I'm fine. I'm perfectly fine.
Yeah. So then, yeah, you can handle that.
And I'm a bitrate beast. Like I like having high bit rates. Like it's like, well, what's the show about? It's two people staring into a webcam that's probably recording at a lower bit rate than I'm rendering, but it doesn't matter. I like bit rate. Bit rate's good. It's nice.
Yeah. I mean, I tried to do the highest bitrate that would still affect quality. But okay, so the reason I brought that up with Spotify now accepting video, I don't see what would stop Spotify from actually just, you know, from people just uploading normal YouTube videos now to Spotify, since there is video now. So you could very easily start seeing people just uploading their normal videos to Spotify.
Yes.
Because we know that Twitter is moving into that space. I kind of wanted to get you, this wasn't even on the topic list to speak about, but there's two things to speak about here. We have the Twitter news that Elon Musk wants to bring out proper Twitter video and audio to ensure that like content creators will be created on Twitter. So basically, I don't know what the fuck they'll call themselves. Twitterinos, twats, like, I don't know.
Listen, here's something that you need to understand. I've been creating content on Twitter for a long time. It's just not monetized because obviously the platform was run by a bunch of morons. And now there's an actual individual in the platform that sure he's making mistakes, but hey, at least he's trying something, which is more than we can say for the previous management.
True. I've not been creating content for Twitter, other than sometimes being sarcastic and sometimes trolling. I've not really wasted my time with Twitter. I still believe Twitter to be the ultimate evil in the universe, although now that Elon is there, maybe it's not going to be as bad. We'll see. Although I don't think Elon can even fix the problems that exist with Twitter.
To me, it's like, I don't think that Twitter itself is the root of all evil. I think that there are a lot of users on Twitter that just want to scream into an echo chamber and are incapable of civil discourse. Like you and I, we disagree on a lot of things. There's a lot of things where I'd be like, okay, you think this, I think that. Like you like orcs for some strange reason. I like dwarves. So you know,
the base rate.
we disagree. We disagree on a lot of things, but we're able to maintain civil discourse. Whereas on Twitter, it's like the moment. For some people, the moment you disagree with somebody else, their instant reactions like, I'm going to block this person, never want to hear from this person again. Not only that, there's scripts that is like, not only I'm going to block this person, I'm going to block every person this person interacts with. So sometimes you'll just randomly come across like a Twitter post and you're like, oh, I'm blocked by this person. I've never even interacted with you before. Like, what do you mean? So like, I avoid blocking people as much as possible. I think I blocked like one person because they were trying to pass themselves off as my father for some strange fucked up reason. That's like the one person I've blocked on Twitter. So you have to go really far to kind of like get me to block you on Twitter.
I block an uncanny amount of people on Twitter. I'm not a stranger to the block button. Like, if you annoy me, and I do have a couple of people that will literally just disagree with every single word I say for disagreement's sake, then I get annoyed and I block you. Mainly because you don't have freedom of speech to speak to me, right? You can speak, I don't have to listen to it, which is basically my default thing. But every once in a while, like, someone will DM me on like Instagram or something. I literally had that 2 weeks or 3 weeks ago where I blocked the guy and then he DM'd me on Instagram. He's like, bro, I'm really sorry. Please unblock me because I really want to see your tweets. I'm like, okay, cool, bro. No worries. And then I'll block it. I'll unblock him, right? I don't do it out of anger. I just do it out of, I don't give a shit about
convenience. This. It's just like, I don't feel like interacting with you. You know, that's a way to go about it.
True. But for me, I think the reason I don't like Twitter, I don't think it's conducive to a healthy human civilization to try to condense all of your thoughts on incredibly nuanced topics into 280 characters and then expect people to understand the nuance and intricacies of that conversation. And if you take some of the conversations that people have over on Twitter, conversations about race and racism and sex and sexualization and sexism and shit like that, these are conversations that, you know, if we're going to get into it, there's a lot of nuance to a conversation. And sometimes the subtext is even more important than the actual text. So you can say something about race that, if it's written down, will seem incredibly offensive, because there's no way to sort of show someone how you spoke or how you thought about it. It's just words on a page.
People just need to like be ready to, hey, is this what this person meant? Or because the problem is a lot of the users in the platform, they're just like, it seems like they're just waiting for it. They're like, oh my God, I can't wait until someone tweets something that's going to trigger me and I'm just going to pop off. Like, the moment they do it, I'm going to let them have it. And that's not the attitude that you need to have in that platform, I feel like.
True. But the problem is, as a human race, it seems like that's where we have sort of arrived at, is that most people go from 0 to 100 within a couple of seconds. Whereas, most people no longer give other people the benefit of the doubt in going, hey, you said this, I think it's racist, but let's just make sure.
Yeah.
Like, did you actually say Hitler is a good guy, or did I read this wrong? You know? And maybe the guy can go, no, what I meant was, if you say that Hitler is a good guy, this, and this, right? I'm actually using a very real example here of a guy that tweeted out, basically, if you say that Hitler is a good guy, and then he went on with a whole thread of explaining what other things you would have to okay as a result of that. And everyone just sort of hyper-focused on Hitler is a good guy.
Yeah.
And they're like, what the fuck, racist Nazi? And it's like, all right, we've lost the fucking plot here, right?
It's like... We have lost the plot in the podcast, even like we're talking about this. I'm just getting reminded of like,
I'll bring it back.
Yeah, bring us back, please. I'm scared of where we're going, Accolonn. It's dark here.
I'll bring it back, but we're still in the realm of competition for YouTube and Twitch.
Yes.
Trainwrecks have just announced
the kick
that he's busy working on his own sort of challenger to Twitch. What do you think of that, bro?
I mean, I took a couple of looks at that platform and it looked terrible. It's like, I've seen a lot of platforms come and go. There was one that was showing promise for a while, which was called DLive, because PewDiePie was getting behind it. Then it turns out it was just like a friggin' crypto scam. Like, I actually received messages from DLive where they were like, "Oh, you should come stream here. It'll be amazing." And I looked at it and I'm like, You know, this is what makes me wish that Mixer didn't go away, because Mixer really was one of the few websites that I would have considered competition to both Twitch and YouTube. They just had the whole wrong approach. But like on the topic of Trainwreck's platform, it's like, look, it's a gambling-powered platform. It's mostly about gambling and whatever other bullshit they have on there, from what I can tell. And the platform itself is embedding Twitch for a lot of streamers, which I'm just like, I mean, it's kind of weird that you have like your own platform, but you're embedding Twitch on your platform. Feels just like a front website almost. I don't know. Not to mention that there's some exploitable stuff on that platform. There was a dude that had like 400,000 people watching him or whatever. And you looked at his chat and it was just like 2 or 3 people spamming like a block of text that made no sense. And I was just like, yeah, there's something fishy about this. I don't like the smell of your platform here, Trainwrecks. I'm sorry, bro. Like you do you. Like here's the thing. I wish Trainwreck's the best, because I think that Trainwreck's is a very interesting content creator, because he keeps like dropping like the way that he talks. He just drops nukes all over the place. So I have a lot of respect for him as a content creator, but like his platform does not seem particularly appealing, stable, or, you know, conducive to a successful future.
Yeah. So for me, I'm sort of, I'm right there with you. I checked it out, and right now it really seems to be incredibly bare bones. Like, don't get me wrong. I think the way it's laid out, I think the layout, I think the UI is pretty decent, very buggy, like very horribly optimized, but it looks decent from at least it basically looks like a Twitch clone, which at this point, I'm almost saying YouTube should be a little bit more like a Twitch clone, because there's a lot of things on the YouTube live stream that just isn't conducive to what a live stream should look like. Like the description that's still somehow in the live streams, even though no one fucking looks at the description of a live stream, right? But anyways, that being said, I personally, I don't think that Trainwrecks is prepared for what this would take to take on something like Twitch, because you're not actually taking on Twitch. Not even Twitch is going to survive the next decade. Yeah, it's going to be YouTube.
Twitch is, I mean, I'm not saying that Twitch is going to die tomorrow, but let's just put it like this. I don't put a lot of effort into Twitch, and I never really did. Like I'll do the streams, and I do the streams because there's a different community on Twitch versus the community on YouTube. And that's kind of like the main reason why I do my streams. Like, look, there's a community here, and I like this community, and I think it's fun. But like Twitch has never really made me any real money. Let's put it like that. You know, it's just mostly something that I do for fun than necessarily for revenue. YouTube is where the money comes from.
See, I the only reason I stream on Twitch is because I really enjoy it. Like outside of that, I don't give 2 fucks about Twitch. Like I don't take Twitch seriously. I just enjoy hanging out because my chat is a bunch of morons that make me laugh.
And it's like, and Twitch doesn't even know what the people at Twitch, they don't know what is the good aspect of their own platform, which is why they're unable to manage their own platform appropriately to actually support their community. Like there are so many things that they could be doing. Like just to give a very quick example of a feature that I've talked about in the past that of course is never going to get implemented because nobody at Twitch gives a fuck. But like, you know how, for instance, right? Imagine that you have a community around, you said you like Fallout. Imagine you have a community around Fallout. Well, naturally, there's going to be Fallout 3, Fallout 4, Fallout 76, Fallout these nuts, whatever. There's a bunch of them, right? So let's say that instead of you having...
Did you just say Fallout these nuts?
Yes. But
sorry.
I don't think it was that funny, but okay.
No, I just liked how you casually just sort of threw that in there.
Listen,
Fallout these nuts.
You need to understand, there are people in my community that are constantly trying to get me with these nuts jokes. So there's this Japanese guy who got arrested. He worked on Sonic or something, and he got arrested for insider trading, and recently got arrested for something else again. And somebody told me, "Oh, you should check out the story of Yuji Naka getting arrested." And I'm like, "Yuji Naka? I was like, "Yuji Naka, these nuts? No, thanks. I don't think I will." And it's like, no, there's actually a dude named Yuji Naka. But anyway, so you have all of these different Fallout games. And basically what Twitch could do is they could just like organize certain games within one category so that instead of you having like a directory for Fallout 3, Fallout 4, Fallout 76, you'd have one directory that'd be like Fallout. And then inside that directory, then you could kind of like sub-navigate if you wanted to. But there would be like a compose. And the reason why I talk about this is because I do a lot of Monster Hunter. And there was a time during which people would be playing older versions of Monster Hunter, but they would mislabel themselves as playing Monster Hunter World. And I'm like, this actually makes a lot of sense because Monster Hunter World was the Monster Hunter that was popular at the time. And they'd be playing Monster Hunter. It just wasn't World. It was a different version, but it would make sense to just kind of like aggregate all of the Monster Hunters into one Monster Hunter category. And then people can go and they can browse and see, okay, who's playing Monster Hunter right now? And this would be something that would be very easy to do for a bunch of categories on Twitch that kind of envelop the same kind of game, but there's like 50 different versions of this game. And this would be very easy, and it would actually promote more discoverability around the creators of games. But they're not interested in that. They're just like, nah, man, what matters is fucking just chatting section, which is probably where we are right now, right? We're in just chatting, of course.
Yeah, I'm always in just chatting.
Yeah, because like it's the most popular one where people just do whatever and they just do just chatting. But like that, there's a bunch of other features that Twitch could do to promote more discoverability and stuff like that, and they don't. Yeah. Because fundamentally, Twitch is a kingmaker system, and it's always going to be a kingmaker system. It's not going to change, and that's why it's, new talent isn't really like being discovered here. Like you look at, what's the most popular talent, let's say for the last 2 years, and you'll have almost no new people coming up on the ranks because it's kingmaker system. The only way for new people to come up in the ranks is for the old people to fucking quit or fall off or take a break.
Either that or convert a lot of your YouTube viewers to join you on Twitch. It is true that Twitch is definitely the hardest of the platforms to get into. But I'm right there with you. The reason Twitch will not survive for the next decade is fundamentally the people that make Twitch do not know what Twitch is.
Yes.
They don't watch Twitch streams. This is why you see things like ads. Right? They're hyper focused on pushing ads. And I feel so sorry for a lot of these new content creators or smaller content creators that get sort of sucked in to these ads incentive programs, because Twitch is pushing that shit on me. I get like 3 or 4 emails a month saying, oh my God, you have 2 weeks left to lock in your ad incentive program.
Let me see
you have
what
1
mine
week
is.
left. You have fucking 24 hours left. You have 12 hours left. And it's like, motherfucker, I'm not doing it. Get the fuck out. I'm not playing ads. Leave me alone. Because all of these young content creators are looking at that ad incentive program and it promises them like $50, which is probably, if you're like a 3-viewer Andy, that's more than what you would ever make in a month, right? You might be making in a month like $15, $20. So that $50 puts you on like $70. That's a nice amount of money, to be fair. But it will also destroy your ability to ever fucking grow. You will just never grow. Because if, at least when I play ads, so I'll play ads when I get up, for example, and go get a drink. Because I'm not here, who the fuck cares, right? I can play an ad quickly. But if you just have ads rolling naturally, you could be in the middle of something really important, and then all of your viewers just get fucking flooded with ads, and they leave.
They kicked me from that program.
Really?
I don't have an incentive for ads. I was just looking up to see what my current offer was, and there isn't one. It's just like, you've ignored us, you bastard. We're kicking you out of the program.
I don't think they kick you out of the program. It opens like there's only a small window. There's like a week window that it's open, and then it closes, and then you can't lock in for the rest of the month. Yeah. It's things like that. The ad system and their entire like the weirdness of just how the system functions is very strange to me, to say the very least. And this is why I think. Because you also have to just look at money. If you compare Twitch and YouTube to each other, There's
Good
no
luck.
comparison.
Yeah, good luck with that.
YouTube, like Alphabet, is more than willing to give YouTube all the fucking money because YouTube is actually turning a profit and making money, whereas Twitch is not making money.
And not just that, but you also have to remember that they're using YouTube to feed their AI, dude. They're feeding their big evil AI in the basement all of the YouTube information.
Oh my god, dude. AI ads, I mean, because Google does have like its own ad program, right? So most of its ads get fed there. So it is good business for YouTube to be competitive and stay competitive. But that's the other thing that YouTube does well. There's no ads on YouTube live streams. You don't fucking need it.
You
right?
can do ads. They do have an ad. No, there's a button now, very much like on Twitch, where you can just like insert an ad live while you are streaming.
Yeah, but you also don't have to. You can literally turn it off.
Yeah, you can not touch it. But it's like going back to the whole Twitter thing. I do hope that Elon Musk does something. Again, I'm not saying this as in, I believe in our Lord and Savior Elon Musk, because that's usually how people nowadays interpret the moment you say that Musk might do something. People are like, you're a Musk fanboy. You it's like,
dude,
no,
how
dude,
dare you question our God Emperor Musk?
Yes.
Like, how dare you?
Musk, the guy, you know that he played Elden Ring, right? He actually posted his build.
Yeah, he's
like
a huge
while
gamer,
ago.
bro. He's a huge gamer. It's just funny to me, you know?
I thought it was funny because a lot of people were like criticizing when he posted his build. People were like, this build sucks. It's a bad build. And I was like, bro, Elon Musk is posting an Elden Ring build and you're criticizing how bad his build is. All right.
I love the guy because he trolls the fuck out of everyone and he pisses off everyone that's just like hyper annoying the whole time. So that's the only reason I like him. For every other reason, I don't really give a fuck.
I'd like to see him like do the whole Twitter long format video thing and see where that could potentially go, because I think that could actually be interesting. It's another platform to post videos on, particularly a platform that I already have a presence in. It's just convenient because like I don't want to go to other social media platforms simply because it's going to be a pain in the ass, going to consume too much time. But I'm already on Twitter. I'm even posting content on Twitter, like videos and stuff. I made a short video yesterday of me just like opening a door from this warehouse, like a big gate. And it was just a teaser for a podcast episode that I have coming up. And it was just like,
nice.
It's just a little teaser video. People,
like
but people loved it. It was funny. It was cool. See, that's the thing. You just post these little short videos in there and it's whatever.
No,
but anyway.
I think Twitter has a future. We'll just have to wait and see how he does it. Look, you can hate Elon Musk. You can love Elon Musk. It doesn't matter. One thing you can't deny, the dude knows what the fuck he's doing. He made electric vehicles cool. He made batteries cool. And he is an engineer, which means that if for no other reason, Twitter is probably going to pop off just because I look at companies like,
who cares?
Well, it could, but I'm of the opinion engineers make for incredible CEOs just based on two companies, Intel, AMD. Intel for the longest time had a marketing guy as the CEO of Intel, and AMD had Lisa Su, who's an engineer. Slowly but surely, AMD got better and better and better, and Intel got worse and fucking worse and worse, just sort of stagnated. Today, Intel, with a lead that 10 years ago, no one would have even fucking guessed that AMD could lick their boots. Today, it's neck and neck. Like, AMD is fucking close to taking over. So I'm of the opinion that the engineers make for incredible CEOs because they think differently. You know, they think about progress. They think about new things. They want to push the technology. They want to push the boundaries of what is possible. Whereas marketing guys and most of your business people, they just want to make money. You know, money.
You just look at that old Steve Jobs speech, basically, where he said that eventually marketing people took control of the product, and the product just got worse and worse and worse, and was a piece of shit. And that's something that you definitely want to avoid, is having given the marketing too much power. I would argue that's also been one of the problems of World of Warcraft over the years, is that too many people in marketing got too much power, and then it became all about engagement. But, you know.
True. But anyways, that's a great segment to fucking Dragonflight.
Yeah, no, I'm dropping those segues, baby.
This is a gaming podcast, but we got sidetracked, like we fucking usually do.
So, Dragonflight has been one hell of an interesting experience. I'm still conflicted, and the reason why I'm conflicted is, I'm gonna be real. Like, I went into this with an open mind, but I also went into this extremely cynical, and I went into it with a fine-tooth comb, and I was just like combing the game, and I was like, where's the bad? I'm going to find the bad. I'm going to root it out. I'm going to expose it so everybody can see it. And then I couldn't fucking find it. All throughout this time, I couldn't find it. And it's interesting because I've made 2 videos already talking about this, and people have told me, well, you have to wait. It's going to be in the first 6 to 8 weeks. And I'm like, okay, so now we have to consider... We have to consider something, and I'm not saying it's not going to happen. Don't get me wrong. I'm not saying that. I've said it myself. Who knows? In season 1, they might screw this whole thing over. They might completely destroy the game. But that wouldn't change the fact that, like, the first 2 weeks have been phenomenal. Have been friggin' fantastic, in my opinion. I've been really enjoying myself playing the game, and that wasn't something that I expected. And coupled together with the Preach interviews where he's stated it like, hey, look, from what I can tell here, it looks like the working conditions are much better. It looks like people are happy to work on the game. That just seems like there has been some kind of a shift in Blizzard. And it does feel like they're finally just like, hey, let's just make a game and, just give it to the players as opposed to thinking about, oh, we got to make sure we engage them here or engage them there. Because I haven't felt any pressure to do anything in the game. There's no mandatory chores or anything, but I have been playing a crap ton. And I've actually done something that I don't think I've ever done in any expansion, which is I'm actually doing all of the side quests in every zone. And I've done so for 3 of the zones now. I'm just missing the last one to get all of the quests, which is wild.
I'm doing it while I'm fucking questing. I will literally veer off. You can ask my chat this as well. Every single time we play, I do maybe like 2 main quests, and then I discover a bunch of side quests, and then I'm off. I'm like going in this direction with the side quests and doing all of the side quests and just sort of discovering the world, and then getting back. And what I particularly like is, again, the sort of usage of what they call in video game design negative space. Or it's not really, but it's like negative space adjacent. So spaces that you're not led to those spaces. It's not quite negative space. That's why I said negative space adjacent, because you're not led to it. But if you do go exploring, you discover like quest hubs that just have a bunch of side quests going on there. You don't have to go there. It's not part of the main storyline. It's not going to take you there. You just have to go fly around and you might discover something. I've also not installed, like, my chat's been getting really annoyed with me because I don't install the handy notes for all of the fucking runes.
Why are people annoyed at that? Yeah, don't do it. Fuck them, dude. Like, what the hell do you mean? Install handy notes. Like, let me tell you right now, this is one of the things that really annoys me, because I have a couple of friends of mine who have been playing the game, and this was the first thing that they did, right? They grabbed the handy notes thing for all of the dragon, they're called glyphs, all the dragon glyphs, and they just instantly flew around, picked up they literally had an arrow pointing them directly to the glyph. And I'm just like, you understand that this system is now account wide. You are going to have to do this thing once, and then it's done forever. And you're going to ruin it by putting a stupid red arrow pointing you directly towards the thing so that you can just sit there and go like, with a little bit of drool coming off of your mouth, like, ooh, just like going straight to the glyphs. Like, that was one of the most fun parts of the experience, was actually because I turned off all add-ons. Like, no, I still don't have any add-ons installed right now. I know that I'll eventually have to, because for some stuff I'm going to need it. But it's like, what I did was I would get to a zone, and the first thing that I would do is, okay, in this zone, I want to find all the glyphs. Now, there are ways of doing this without using an add-on. You can just go to the achievements, for instance, and in the achievements, there's a section there for dragon riding, and then you can pick like, okay, show me the zones where the glyphs are. So in the game itself, It will tell you like, like you'll have a sub-zone inside the Waking Shores, which will be called something. I don't know all the names of the little side zones. And then you can like hover with your mouse over those little zones and it'll be like, okay, I know that there's a glyph here because in the achievement, it says that there's a glyph here. So what I would do is at the start of each zone, I would just fly around and I would just look for the glyphs in that zone. But I wouldn't go to other zones. And so I would empty the glyphs and then I'd go do the races. Because the races are also super fun. I love the races.
The races are super. Yeah, they're really cool.
And then, then I'd do all of the quests in that zone that I could find. And then I'd go to the next zone and I would repeat the process. Find the glyphs, do the races, do the quests. And I found every single glyph organically. And it is super easy to do. You don't need an add-on for it. And it's going to feel a lot better because you're gonna get that sense of achievement. Like, no, I found it. The dragon roared, and I could see it, and I went and I found a way to get there. And not just that, but it made me a better dragon rider because that way you have to learn how to utilize dragon riding with limited resources, and you have to learn. Okay, this is how I can go and get like a lot of height with my dragon. If I angle it this way and I press the one and it goes like super high, and it's like you just become a better dragon rider. And it was just like a super fun experience. So yeah, that's how I gathered all of them without any add-ons whatsoever.
I didn't even do the whole I don't even do the whole go for all the glyphs first. I just sort of go, right? I'll just look around and then I'll see there's a glyph somewhere there. And then I'll go there because I want it. But I don't actively seek out the glyphs. I don't actively seek out anything. I do love the races though. They are super cool. I think we got our first gold actually the other day, which was really awesome. And I don't even have near all of them unlocked.
Wait until you get the advanced version, because after you do the normal version, they unlock an advanced version of every race.
Oh shit. Like, bro, I can tell you now, I've never had, and I can say this with absolute honesty, I have never had this much fun in a WoW expansion during leveling. And here's how I explain this. In the past, leveling for me has always been a sort of means to an end. I want to see the story. Okay, so I go through every single quest and I read every single quest. But I usually don't waste a lot of time in the zones. Shadowland zones, for example, were incredibly boring for the most part. The story was sometimes kind of alright, but for the most part, the zones were really dull and boring, like a standard World of Warcraft zone. So I just do it for the story. And I try to get through it as quickly as possible because obviously I want to see the end of the story, but then I want to get to the max level so that I can start doing max level stuff. This is the first time ever that I have no interest in rushing myself to the end of the road. I am enjoying the journey in its entirety. I love the way that the game is being revealed to me, and I specifically love that a lot of the little side quests in the game is what I asked for. It's almost as if Blizzard watched my video on this. Because for those of you that don't know, I've recently really gotten into like Warhammer stuff. Like I've really gotten into the Warhammer stuff. I have even more books coming for Warhammer. But one of the things that really hit me about how Warhammer deals with their storytelling is no piece of information is too small to be explained. So the culture is incredibly important because the culture sort of informs the decisions and the actions of characters. So they will go into great detail explaining the different cultures on planets, because while the entire Imperium of Man have, war all the time and it's really horrible to live there, every planet will have slight differences in terms of culture and livability and things like that. And it's something that World of Warcraft, for the most part, have always missed, is the sort of more micro storytelling. So with the Centaurs, for example, you're sent all over the map asking different people about marriage proposals, right? And then you find out at the end of it, you kind of find out that it really is just about love. They don't really give too much of a fuck about tradition, which was kind of a letdown because I was really hoping for like a real big traditional sort of, thing that they have to, like a lot of hoops that they have to jump through. But at the end of the day, that is still cool Because when you have that culture of a race sort of chipped out, it can really do a lot to inform future storytelling. So if you have a centaur that's going to do something, their culture is going to impact the way in which they do things. And it also helps a lot with immersion. So I've been having the time of my life, and I know we say this almost every expansion, but this time it really has to be said. The zones are fucking breathtaking, bro.
They are.
Oh my God, they are beautiful.
Oh
my God.
The skybox alone on some of those zones, you look at the skybox and you're like, whoa, this is friggin' wild. It's just very, very well done. And it's just super cool to navigate them, because like these are super expansive zones, and they've introduced the dragon riding thing, and dragon riding is just perfect due to the fact that they've made a traversal that is so fun that I can never go back to old flying. Like whenever I have to go back to the old world for whatever reason, I'm like, bro, this sucks. Everything about this sucks. Anybody who tells me like, oh, I want to have old school flying, is like, shut the fuck up, you idiot. Old school flying fucking blows. Like it doesn't even matter. Like I don't even want to hear about old school flying. It sucks. Like dragon riding is just a million times better for everything.
Oh yeah, I agree with you. I mean, I've had this discussion. I don't know if we've had this discussion, but I've said this. I have never been a fan of flying in World of Warcraft. In fact, I'm on record since the days of Legion saying that flying should be removed from World of Warcraft. And for one reason and one reason only. I recognize that the world of World of Warcraft have a lot of problems, and there's a reason why people prefer flying, because it can become very tedious to move through the world on foot. Right? It can be incredibly tedious. So I understand why people want flying. But I have always had a problem with a mechanic being sort of invented in order to sort of allow you to skip a failure in gameplay design. If the world is not interesting, make the world more interesting. Don't just give people the ability to skip the world altogether. Now, since then, I've obviously matured as a content creator. I've matured as far as video game design goes. And I recognize that it is impossible to make a world that will just always be interesting. But then make the mechanic that you use to skip that interesting. Not just a case of mount up, press your spacebar, and go. Because you're skipping so much of work, so much hard work that went into creating that world is now just being flown over. Whereas dragon riding, there's a little bit of work there, right? Because you can't
that's the thing. It's interactive. You have to actually do it properly. And even just like sometimes banking in certain ways and whatnot, it changes the way that you're navigating the world. And it's like, there's a lot of times where I'll just log in and I'll just fly around for a little bit to like, okay, I want to see what this quest might be, see what that quest might be, and just like go through it. It's super fun. I friggin' love it.
And let's be honest, with dragon riding, I did find myself taking a lot of detours. Like the quest is right here, but maybe I'll go a little bit further around. Like maybe I won't take the straight line because I kind of want to see how much speed I can build up and like how I can get through it, because it really is just a fucking really fun, awesome system. And I'm hoping that more races, because here's the thing that will kill Dragonflight. You literally started this conversation saying that, things could die off and we'll have to wait and see, we'll have to play for a couple of months before we can really cast our judgments on the game. But here's what I believe. The only thing is that can kill Dragonflight, and that is content routes. Like if we have another inconsistent patch release cycle where there just isn't enough new content coming to the game, and specifically open world content, if there's not a lot there to keep people busy, like more races and more sort of open world events and stuff, I can see people getting bored, because remember, this time around, there's nothing for the chore players to do. The chore players have very little chores.
Which is very interesting, because the chore players already wanted more chores. You saw this post?
Oh yeah.
That was like it's like in a way I'm kind of neutral on that because like we'll get into this, but like in a way I'm a little bit neutral, but in another way I'm like, so let me get this straight. You guys actually want more grind. You want to be able to grind harder. It's like you do understand that one of the best things about Dragonflight is that it is not grindy. And a lot of people just went as like, no, more grind, make it grindier so that I can grind faster. And it's like, bro, smell the roses, please, for the love of God. Like, what are you doing? Play an alt, do something else. But Save me.
You're saying all the right things, but here's the problem. Players in World of Warcraft have been conditioned over the last 6 years to basically... The game keeps you busy. You only need one character because the game will constantly keep you busy with things that you need to do. If anyone that has played since vanilla, remember back to those days. In Wrath of the Lich King, you did your 25 dailies every single day. That would take you maybe like an hour and a half. Then you were done. You couldn't do more. You physically couldn't do another daily. You could only do a cap of 25. Then you would maybe do your daily dungeon if you still needed the currency for it. I mean, that was it. It was the end of the game, right? At least on that character. So what you would do is you would level another character, right? And start doing shit on that character. Not dailies, because fuck that. You just need to rep on one character. But then you would start doing dungeons, gear that one up, go do some battlegrounds, go do some raids. Nowadays you have Mythic Plus. So the whole point is going out there and actually discovering the different parts of the game that you have since, basically since Legion, avoided because it was just not possible to really partake in it. Yeah. So I honestly believe that this expansion, and this is why I'm so glad that Blizzard actually reverted that change and kept it to a weekly lockout, because this is the equivalent.
Let me just quickly, point out, because some people might not be aware of what we're talking about. We didn't specifically say what it was, but basically people were complaining to Blizzard, there's not enough to do. Please reset the world quests every day. Whereas right now, world quests are resetting every 3 days. So it's like they populate the world with world quests, and they last for 3 days, and then 3 days later, they reset those, and new world quests show up. They call this the semi-weekly, which is like twice a week, reset of world quests. And people were like, no, make them reset daily. And Blizzard was like, okay, we're going to make it reset daily then. And then eventually they went back, and they're like, no, we're looking into this. We'll figure something else out. So but continue. It's just to explain what was going on.
Yeah, no, that's fine. I just, so the equivalency that I drew on my stream when this first came out like 2 days ago was, imagine your kid comes to you and your kid goes, Dad, I want chocolate. And you go, all right, no problem. And you go buy him a candy bar. And then an hour later, your kid comes to you and says, hey, I want another chocolate. Now, your kid does want another candy bar, but you're probably not going to give it to your kid, right? Because even though, yes, your kid does want the candy bar, it's not good for them to have another candy bar. And this is sort of, this is what game developers, this is their job. A lot of people will oftentimes do this where they'll go, yeah, the community asks for things and the developers give it to them, and then it's a fuck up, so clearly the developers shouldn't listen to the community. And it's like, no. The job of a developer is to filter the good ideas from the bad. The community is always going to ask for things, whether good or bad, because the community doesn't think about long-term effects and long-term repercussions. They only think in the now. They want it now. And it's up to the developers to go, okay, what happens if we make world quests daily resets? Well, suddenly there's another chore. Suddenly, there's another thing that people have to do every single day when they log in. This means that there's going to be less time for dragon riding races. There's going to be less time for the Explorers League stuff. There's going to be less time for Mythic Plus. There's going to be less time for raids. So maybe in the short term, people will like this, but in about a year from now, people are going to complain there's too many chores again. So we're not going to give it to them now.
Let me tell you that, for instance, in Shadowlands, I just would ignore world quests for the most part unless I actually needed them for something. I would completely ignore them because, like, who cares about these world quests? Like, I'm going to log in tomorrow. There's going to be a bunch of different ones. This thing has no permanence whatsoever. Whereas during Dragonflight, I didn't know the frequency with which the world quests were resetting. I wasn't aware that they had changed that. So I was like, I did the same thing. I just instantly ignored world quests. I'm like, unless there's a reward I care about, I'm not doing it. And then I realized, wait a second, I logged in today and the quests are still the same. That's weird. And then I log in the next day, it's like, these quests are still the same. It's like, okay, so maybe I should do them, I guess, because, you know, it doesn't look like they're going to be respawning as often. So I found myself actually doing more world quests due to the fact that they're not resetting all the goddamn time. Because otherwise, I just browse through them and I'll be like, okay, there's a gear piece here that I want. I'll do this one, and that'll be like it when it comes to world quests for me.
I think the other thing that people have to remember, and it is this is where we sort of take a step out of video games and into more the biological scientific world, dopamine and serotonin, which games is pretty much just a spike of dopamine. That's why we like playing video games, because it gives us dopamine. The problem is that when you have constant dopamine spikes, it becomes harder and harder to keep that dopamine spiking. So you have to do more and more in order to keep it spiking. Quests or chore lists, on the other hand, is very good for serotonin release, which also makes us feel really good. We really like chores because as you fill up the list and as you take everything off, it gives you that boost of serotonin, which leads to dopamine, which leads to really good feelings. Now, if you have a daily reset, it means that there's less of an enjoyment with every single day that it resets. The enjoyment does go down.
Yeah.
And eventually people do it purely because they're addicted to it. Whereas if you have a bi-weekly or a semi-weekly in Blizzard's sort of vernacular, when you have a semi-weekly system, what ends up happening is you do your world quests and you really have fun doing it because, you know, they're available and they're going to give you things. But then for the next few days, you have to find other things to do in the game. So by the time they reset again, you're already on a dopamine high. You're looking forward to logging in because all of your world quests have reset. You can get back into it. So it keeps you coming back, but it also allows you time to go in and discover other parts of the game that otherwise you would be missing because you would just be hyper-focusing on this one element.
Like, for instance, I've been wanting to get into PvP a little bit because I don't really need to do all of these things that I had to do during the Shadowlands to keep up with my character. So I'm going to dip my toes into PvP. I'm going to suck at it, I already know, but that's fine. I haven't turned off war mode. It's been really fun. As a matter of fact, dude, yesterday, something super fun happened, which was like, I'm doing a world quest that's like in an elite zone. So I'm like, okay, let me find a group for this. So there's like actually just group finder tools and stuff super fast. You find a group, boom. And I'm sitting in there with like four other guys, just like killing these elite mobs for this world quest. And suddenly a rare pops up. And one of the guys asks, oh, shall we go for the rare? And I'm like, yes. And we get there and the horde is there. There's like 7 or 8 guys killing this rare. And we're just like, well, we're not in time for the rare because like the rare was super low, so they were going to get it no matter what. So we just butchered everyone in the horde there. It's like, hey, you know, it's like
Alliance scumbag. Fucking
what do you mean?
Scumbag.
There was more of you. There was only 5 of us. There was like 7 or 8 horde, and we butchered all of them, and it was great.
Yeah, but they were busy, bro. They were busy focusing. Jesus,
oh, they were busy.
Assholes.
Oh, dude, that's so sad. I'm so sad. Went in there, butchered all of it, and then we just left. They were like, well, let's go back to grinding these elites to get this world quest done.
Wait, did you kill them before they killed the elite, or
no? They killed the rare. Like they were pretty much done. The rare was at like sub 5% or something when we got there. So we're like, well, we're not going to get the rare, but we're going to get a bunch of honor kills. I'll tell you that.
You see, I have war mode off all the time. I don't really care for war mode all that much. I don't like PvP in most games. The only PvP game that I do play is Modern Warfare, Warzone, and League of Legends. Outside of that,
dude, let me tell you something.
Shit like that.
There's a zone in the Azure span, which is called the Cobalt Assembly. Now, in this zone, this works kind of like Torghast, but it's an open world. So there's all those crazy powers that you can get, right? And if you're doing it in no war mode, then it's just like you and whoever happens to be there. But if you have war mode on, you can be ridiculously overpowered with all of these powers and just be running around butchering people, and it's hilarious. Or you can encounter someone who's ridiculously overpowered and they'll butcher you. Like, there's just straight up a power that makes you invincible for 5 minutes. You're invincible for 5 minutes, but you have no health pool. Your health pool is 1. There's like, the moment that thing ends, if you don't heal up real fast, you're dead. And the thing is, when you pick that one, all of the other powers just say increases your critical and your damage. Like, that's it. Every other power you pick up after you pick that one is just always critical strike and damage. And that's that. So you can become this super mega powered glass cannon that shreds everything. And it's just a fun little zone. But yeah, with war mode on, there's been interesting things that have happened. Like, I've been in a lot of conflicts and it's just fun because yes, you're not as efficient at doing quests, but I don't care about efficiency really, because you're just like hanging out and exploring the zone, and you get more rewards.
Yeah, I mean, I don't have it on for a couple of reasons. When you're streaming specifically, you could get stream sniped, and that would just not be fun. I've had that in the past where people will just lock you in an endless cycle of fucking being killed over and over again. That makes for some horrible fucking stream content. So yeah, I'm not a huge fan of war mode, but that's just because I'm not a huge fan of PvP. But overall, I think it's cool. I really want to see this zone. I want to see this area. And I want Blizzard to do more of that. You know, I want to see with the next patch more open world stuff for people to keep themselves busy with.
Bro, just
things
wait until
to discover.
I can't wait for you to get to the soup.
The soup?
The soup.
The fuck is the soup?
Here's what I'll tell you about the soup. Anybody who attacks the soup becomes the soup. And you'll learn what that means eventually.
All right, I'll wait. Right?
Yeah, there's some. Have you done the hunts? Because like you're in the second zone. In the second zone, there are those hunts that are happening around there. You haven't seen them?
I don't think
there's like a horn that shows up.
Oh yeah. I've seen those. Isn't it similar? Like, I got the vibe that it's kind of similar to the Final Fantasy hunt thing,
like a
where
Fate?
The community goes around and kills like the world bosses, sort of thing.
No, it's a different thing. It's like it's a dynamic event because these centaurs, they're just like centaurs. What are they called? Is it centaurs? They are called centaurs.
Are you talking about the centaurs?
Yeah, the
Rurikhan centaurs. Yeah.
So they just roam around through different zones. It's not always on the second zone. It's just the second zone is their zone, so it happens more often there. But sometimes they'll be in the Azure Span. Sometimes they'll be in Thaldraszus doing their thing. And basically what it is, it's like a series of events. Usually, I think it's 6 events always. And each event is a different thing, and you complete it.
Yeah.
And it's basically a set of tasks that you're doing. And when you get to the end, you get reputation with them. And you also get like a weekly reward. So you can get like an epic piece of loot from doing these hunts and then a rare piece of loot. But it's just a series of dynamic things that happen in the world, which is pretty fun.
Dude, I have to say, I think Ian and the team can be really proud of what they've pulled off here so far. Because this is the WoW that I remember, but better. You know, this is what World of Warcraft should have become. When I think back to the early days of WoW, I remember playing Wrath and thinking, "Oh my God, can you imagine what WoW is going to be in 10 years from now?"
Oh no!
Given all the things we have now, and you were so excited for the future of World of Warcraft, and then the future happened, and you were like, "What the fuck? This is not what I imagined." And now we get Dragonflight, and suddenly I think anyone that's being honest has to admit that this is such a step up from where we've ever been. And because I get it, I see the comments on my YouTube channel from people saying, "Oh, it's not enough. I'm really bored. They should have done this. They should have done that. They should have done this. They should have done that."
It's like,
and my answer to everyone, just to finish, my answer to everyone is, this is the start. Don't expect this to blow you out of the water. It's already blown me away, because if you compare it to where we were just a month ago, it is incredible how much the game has changed for the better. But remember that after this expansion, there will be another expansion. And if that expansion builds on the successes of this one, that expansion is going to be a hell of a lot better than this one, right? So this is only the beginning. And it's a good foundation. The only thing that Blizzard can't afford to do now, they can never again remove dragon riding. I'm pretty sure.
Here's the interesting thing, though. They can remove dragon riding if they replace it with another fun traversal system. The problem is they started with flight, whereas, for instance, if you go to Guild Wars 2, I don't think they started with flight. They started with like their ground mounts that do the jump thing and whatnot. But like, if instead of dragon riding, right, you could have like a different traversal system that would be a ground mount that's also really fast and jumps really high or something like that, you don't need to fly. You can be running through the ground so long as you're doing so at a high speed, and the traversal system is fun and you can use it to navigate the world. Because like, if I can, one of the most important things to me is like, say you are in a certain, so the zones have verticality to them. So let's say you're like in level 1 of the zone, and you see that there's a node in like level 3, and in the beginning of of World of Warcraft, you can't get there, and it feels terrible. You're like, man, fuck this. I want to get that node. I can't get that node. This fucking sucks, right? And right now you can. So long as you're skilled enough with dragon riding, you can get anywhere. Even with just the 3 basic things, you can get anywhere in the game if you are skilled enough with dragon riding. So that's what they need to ensure. Like, you have a traversal system and you can get wherever you need to go, even if it's not flying, even if it's a ground mount. It's just like a fast ground mount. Maybe it grabs onto walls and, whatever. And that will work too. That will be fine. Maybe it can even be like, have you done any of the climbing things?
No, I've seen the climbing things. I've seen the rocks that is climbable, but I haven't done it yet.
Imagine a mount that has like a grip bar as well, and it can just like kind of climb up cliffs. That could replace dragon riding in a way. It's probably not going to be as fun as dragon riding, but that could be something where they can introduce a different traversal system. The important is maintain a traversal system that is interesting and engaging, and most importantly, interactive. You don't want to be with like, oh, let me press my mount, hit space bar, hit numlock, and doze off while I'm like, instead of actually playing the game. Like right now, I'm playing the game while I'm going somewhere because the game demands that I'm actively piloting my dragon. Yeah. And that is a good thing.
You see, I agree with you, but I would still not remove dragon riding. I do think that dragon riding fixes most of flying's issues. They need to figure out, there's a couple of things they need to figure out. Like, how do we incorporate all mounts into the dragon riding system? Which I don't think is too hard. They should be able to do it. But that needs to happen. All mounts should be dragon riding. So flying should be removed in its entirety from World of Warcraft. Dragon riding is the way that you fly.
Yes.
Even in the old zones that wasn't designed for it. Because it doesn't really matter. Because there are some zones where I don't care who the fuck you are, it would be kind of cool to fly through those zones. But then, even if it wasn't designed for it, Nazjatar comes to mind here. Nazjatar's nooks and crannies with the fucking caves and shit could be really cool to fly in that zone, even though it wasn't necessarily designed for it. So I do think dragon riding should become the new dragon riding form.
I just remembered one thing. I have one very specific criticism to dragon riding.
Okay.
Colors for the mounts should unlock sooner. Like, to give you an idea, I haven't unlocked a single color change. I have all the mounts, which there's 4 mounts by the time you're done. It's like one for each zone. And I haven't unlocked any color swaps for any of the mounts, which kind of sucks because color swap is the color of the mount is the most visually indicating thing.
Yeah.
Of which mount somebody's riding. So you see the blue one, you're like, oh, this is the mount from Azure Span. You see the yellow one, oh, this is the mount from Thaldraszus and all of that. And I feel like they should unlock at least 1 or 2 additional colors sooner, because that way you would have the player base kind of like spread out and be more diverse. Because, like, for instance, at the beginning of the game, everybody's riding around on the red dragon. And then when you get to the middle of the game, most people are going to be riding the green small dragon. Then you get to the third zone, everybody's riding the blue dragon. Whereas if you could express yourself through these different colors, I think it would be a little bit better. You're going to eventually unlock the colors, but I just think they should do it a little bit early, at least one or two.
This is the one part that I don't give two fucks about. So I don't care. I will literally probably never change my dragon whatsoever.
Which dragon are you using?
The one that I got.
The starting one?
The fucking,
Proto's the best one, dude. He's the best one.
That's the one I don't even know I know there's an NPC that you talk to in order to change it, but I can't remember exactly where that NPC is. So
no, it unlocks at the end of each zone. You get a new one.
Yeah, but you can talk to that. It's somewhere in the first zone. On
where
like
you can customize it.
Thing. Yeah, where you can customize it. Yeah, I only did it because I had to for the quest, and then that's it. I'll probably never go there again because that shit doesn't bother me whatsoever. I'm far more interested just in the gameplay mechanics of it. So for me, I think the next expansion should further dragon riding, even if you don't replace normal flying. So maybe keep normal flying as a backup for like people who really don't like dragon riding and for some reason really
strange
like skipping
people,
things.
Man. Yeah, those strange people.
Yeah, maybe you can keep it for them, but dragon riding should remain a thing that's constantly updated, new things added to it, and then a new traversal system. And I'm right there with you. This could be a million different things, right? So this could either be ground mounts. This could be just there's so many things. Grappling hooks that could come in. Maybe running really fast, some kind of thing that allows you to run really fast.
Oh, I was, dude, in the Cobalt Assembly, at one point, I had a set of powers that made me run at 250% speed.
Nice.
And also, I made my character super tiny because it increased my damage. So it was just like this little tiny zit, zoom, zoom. Except all of that speed also caused me to randomly teleport in random directions sometimes, which was interesting.
But you see, this is where, because I'm already thinking about the amount of content that you can now add. Because next expansion will again have dragon races, but now you'll also have ground races. Right? So you'll have two types of racing. The ground races, which adds a completely different sort of feel and difficulty setting versus the flying one that adds something different. So I genuinely believe that don't remove anything. I'm a huge believer in things should never be removed. They should only be improved upon. But this is where Blizzard have to be careful in what they add, because you don't want to add so many things. So once you have, I think, ground riding and flying, that's it. For as far as traversal goes, just keep bettering those systems. Just keep adding a couple of talents every expansion for ground mounts and flying mounts that make them a little bit better, maybe change them a little bit.
That's another thing. See, you could just like change the dragon riding tree for a different zone, and that could like influence the way that your mount works on a different zone as well. That's another thing that they could do.
Oh yeah, I mean, there's a lot of things like wind could start impacting you. You know, so if you catch,
it already does.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know how the winds would impact you. I know there's these little like balls of wind that make you go really fast. I don't know about like just normal wind mechanics. I don't know if those exist in the game.
No, but, there's not normal wind mechanics. They're just these things that you'll unlock later down the line, which are these like whirlwinds that you just fly over them and they push you up.
Yeah. But I mean, you could have zones in future expansions where the zone itself has physical wind directions. And you could capture these to go super fucking fast without having to push any buttons. And then you could do other things. Or sometimes you get it changed on you and things like that. So I think there's cool things that you can do with this. And it's important to keep sort of innovating in this and moving in that direction. But I think as far as the groundwork goes, Dragonflight hits all of its nails on the head. It does what it needs to do. And I think it gives something to every type of player. Because for the first time ever, open world casual players like myself have shit to do. You know,
Yes.
there's actual things in the game for me to do.
There's a ton of stuff.
Yeah, that isn't in Mythic Plus or fucking. I would say though the most annoying quest I got was unlocking the camera. Fucking hated that quest.
Oh, I haven't done that one. I don't think.
Oh, it's the expedition guy. It's a complete side quest. But yeah, you basically have to take pictures of dragons and shit and their eggs and crap. That was annoying as crap, but you know, I'm guessing there is a portion of the player base that likes stuff like this. And that's
it's like Pokemon Snap.
Yeah, but that's exactly the point that I wish I could bring across to more WoW players. Because so often with WoW players, you'll suggest a system and the player base will go, no, I don't like that, fuck it. It's like, well, it doesn't matter if you like it. If you don't like it, it's not for you. And that's fine.
Yes, exactly.
You don't have to do it. Like, there will be people for whom this is important. Let them fucking do it. Right? And you go do something else. Go do whatever the hell you like to do, and let the other people that like doing these things, let them enjoy these things. And I think a lot of WoW players still have real struggles with this. This idea that not everything in the game is meant to be for everyone. Sometimes it is okay for you to go, yeah, I'm not doing that.
Yeah, exactly.
Fuck that, I'm not doing that.
And it's healthier even, because like I said, one of the most important things for me with Final Fantasy XIV is that whenever I would stop playing and I'd be like, man, that was fun. Can't wait to come back and play some more. And that's kind of been the feeling that I've been getting with Dragonflight whenever I log off. I'm like, man, that was fun. I want to do some more of that tomorrow or whatever. And I want to get to a point eventually where I'll be like, okay, I think I've done most of the things that I want to do. I think I'm going to take a break, wait for the next patch. And I think that this time around, if things keep going the way that they go, this is probably going to be the first time where I'll be like, man, that was fun. I can't wait for the next content drop so that I can come back and do more of that. Because every single time that I've stopped playing is like, man, fuck this game. I hate this. This sucks. This whole fucking game is bullshit, and I'm never coming back. That's like the way that I've stopped playing the game every single time for the last couple of expansions. And I'm looking forward to eventually in this one just being like, hey, you know what? That was pretty fun. Can't wait for them to drop in some more content for me to come check out. That'll be pretty cool.
Yeah, I agree with you. And to shift the conversation a little bit, but still sucking the dick of World of Warcraft.
Hey.
Story delivery. Now, for a very long time, and I'll be one of the first people to say that this has been true basically since the beginning of World of Warcraft. If you compare World of Warcraft to other games in the genre, Elder Scrolls, Star Wars, The Old Republic, and Final Fantasy, its story delivery has always been incredibly weak. Like, World of Warcraft has just never really figured out how to do story delivery until Dragonflight. Is it perfect? No. It still can improve in many ways. But it is the best experience I have had in World of Warcraft as far as story delivery goes ever. The way that subtext is weaved into everything that you do. Like, whenever you read those quests, and you and I have spoken about this, where it would have been nice if they gave you a more cinematic experience of this, where the character, instead of it reading, the character nods and smiles at you. It actually showed the character nodding and smiling at you. While that would have been nice, it's at least nice that that is added. And then the big one for me is the voice lines. So after every single quest that you hand in, and sometimes even that you pick up,
there's usually dialogue,
Yeah, there's like a short bit of dialogue. It doesn't lock you down. It's not like a cutscene that you have to sit there and watch. It's just a little bit of dialogue, either with the character saying something to you or the character saying something to each other, that makes the world feel more alive. It feels like you're actually part of this and things are actually progressing in a direction. And it doesn't feel like these are just quest givers. It feels like these are actual people having actual problems that you're helping to solve because they're giving personalities to these characters.
And this doesn't just happen on main quests. This also happens on side quests. And actually just yesterday, I did a side quest that I'll be very curious for your thoughts on it. We can't talk about it because you're not there yet. because there are some side quests that fucking go places, dude. They fucking go places. And I was just like, whoa, I did not expect to see this on a side quest. Because it was this quest, it seemed very goofy, the stuff that was happening, and then shit got real really fast, and I was like, holy shit, what the fuck? And then, yeah, there's like the resolution of the quest, and I was like, oh my God, dude, that was, woo, what the fuck? That was a side quest? Jesus Christ.
No, I have so far just been having a blast with the game.
It's very, very good.
It is the first time in a long time that I look forward to logging in and actually playing, which, you know, with Shadowlands, I effectively leveled in a single day. Even with reading all of the quests, I did it in one sitting because I really just wanted to get through all of the zones.
Yeah.
The story didn't really speak to me on that many levels.
Like the Shadowlands story was just terrible in every conceivable way, whereas in here, whenever I was going to a new zone, I was always excited about the new zone. So, like a thing, you've already done this one because it's the introduction to the Onaran Plains. I thought the flavor of the characters that introduce you to the Onaran Plains was awesome. I don't remember if it's the Kirin Tor or if it's some other faction. It's like, it's two mages in a camp and they're talking and you go there because you were sent there to kind of like see what's going on. And they're like, okay, so we're recruiting adventurers for this thing that we got to go do. And, you know, once you accept the quest, they start talking to each other and they go like, okay, so how many adventurers do you think we need to get? And one of them goes like, I don't know, another 3 or 4. 5 seems like a good number of adventurers for any occasion. And I was like, bro, really? Because obviously 5 is the number of players you get for like dungeons and it's the maximum number of a group. And I thought that was like, okay, that's a cool little moment. There's just like tons of that. There's tons of that peppered in throughout the entirety of the expansion, which it just feels good to go through and do those quests.
True. Pacing also feels really good. It really feels like that. The quest with the dwarf dragon, the sort of the stay a while and listen.
Yes.
It feels like that is the entire purpose of the quest. It is that I constantly feel like the game is telling me, slow down, enjoy yourself.
Yeah.
If you go into Onaran's Plains, the traveling between the different camps, going to the ritual site, it takes time. You're literally just sitting there on your mount, just watching. And I half expected...
You can actually skip it, I think. I think you can just fly to where you're supposed to be and you'll be done. But obviously, I think that'd be a disservice, but yeah.
You can, but if you go through it, they actually constantly speak. So you get a lot of sort of story if you go through it and listen to what they have to say. But remember, just because you can skip it, and that's fine. This is what you and I spoke about. Have these things for people like myself that actually care about this, and then allow for people to skip it if they just really don't give a shit, especially when it comes to alts. Because while I enjoyed sitting on that mount the first time, listening to them discuss the different elements of their culture,
next time
I'm not going to fucking do it on my alt, right? On my alt, I just want to get done because I have stuff that I want to do in the end game. But it really does feel like this. Stay a while and listen.
And
don't
here's the
rush. Just enjoy the journey. That's it.
And here's the interesting thing about that moment as well. If I remember correctly, the dog that you sit on, he's called Tyvan, right? I think so.
I don't even see, but it might be.
Yeah, because there's later down the line, there's another quest about that dog that is also really well done. See, because this is at least I think it's the same dog because they're like, oh, we have this really big dog and he'll take you and you mount on the dog. And I'm pretty sure that dog is Tyvan. And then later down the line, there's another quest about that dog that is really, really cool that you'll also get to do because it's a side quest.
I'll definitely check it out.
Yeah.
I also have to say, Blizzard have managed to make me care about the characters for the first time in a really long time.
Yeah.
Just, you know, I actually care about a lot of the characters already. The previously in Shadowlands, you couldn't get me to care about a single one of those fucking characters.
I mean, listen, in Shadowlands, I barely cared about Uther. How do you fuck up so bad that I barely care about Uther? That there should be an achievement for fucking up that bad. That's like a next level achievement where you don't even care about core characters in the lore. But no, it's very true. There are some really cool. One of the things that bothered me a little bit was there's one of the zones you'll interact with Khadgar, And Khadgar just turns to me and he goes like, adventure. And I'm like, motherfucker, you couldn't even call me friend? But all the shit we've done together, what's this adventure bullshit, man? Fuck you. And here's the thing, because you think, okay, that's just how they treat your characters. Like, no, because there are other characters that will refer to your name. And it's like, even though they have dialogue, they're not going to say your actual name in the dialogue, but they will say the dialogue in a way that implies like, hey, we're friends. And they couldn't have Khadgar do that. And I'm like, bro, what do you mean? We've known each other for years. The fuck, man?
I believe that, and this just plays into my major theory here, that Dragonflight truly is WoW 2.0. It's WoW
it's for
2.
New players.
Yeah, the whole point is this entire thing. One of the things that have really stood out to me is that I'm almost always referred to as adventurer.
Yeah.
Like, no one refers to me as champion. No one really gives a fuck about my past. There's no mention of all the threats that I've stopped in the past. I need to prove myself with almost everyone. No one trusts me. I need to prove that I belong, which to me is much more of a callback or a throwback to the early days of WoW, where people didn't trust you because who the fuck are you?
But right? I still think it'd be cool if some of the, because like I could tell throughout the quest lines that like you now have successfully, like, because there are characters that you get to know and they get referenced later in the story and they treat you differently, because like when you first met them they're like adventurer, and then when you meet them later they'll be like Rurikhan. They'll call me by my name, not in actual dialogue, but they'll have the dialogue in a way that makes sense, the way that they're speaking, and they speak to you like a friend. And I think that they should have had like some kind of a flag or something where, hey, has this character done these expansions? Do they know Khadgar? And therefore Khadgar would treat you differently. I think that would have been cool. They didn't do that, but it's like, it's not the end of the world. It's whatever. It's standard, but that could have been an interesting detail during those quests where you interact with Khadgar.
But I do think I think the reason Blizzard isn't doing that, after Dragonflight, players will go from the starting isle. What's the isle called again?
Waking Shores.
Not Waking. Is Waking Shores not for the Evokers?
Oh, the Evokers.
Exil's Reach. Exil's Reach.
No, it's
Exil's Reach.
Oh, the very first island. Okay.
Yeah. If you're a new character, you start in Exil's Reach. I believe that after Dragonflight, new players will start in Exil's Reach
and then go to Dragonflight.
Go straight to Dragonflight. To the Dragon Isles, and that will be the starting experience for all future World of Warcraft expansions.
Good.
Probably no matter how many expansions we go forward, because the quest line is actually relatively short. Questing through those zones, if you only do the main storyline.
Oh yeah,
it's actually not that long. It's actually very short. The world quests or the side quests really fill it up, but just the main storyline is really quick to do. And I do think that's Blizzard's plan here, is basically forget the past of World of Warcraft. We've made a lot of mistakes. We don't want to repeat those mistakes. This is the new WoW. This is the new WoW, and there's a new story coming out of this. So I'm really looking forward to that. But I want to ask you a question, because I obviously haven't done any of this. Well, I've done 2 dungeons so far, but this was leveling, so it's obviously not who gives a shit about leveling dungeons. What's the dungeon experience been like?
I'll be real. I've only done like the Mythic Zero World Tour, because that's like the only thing that you can really do now. I think that the dungeons were pretty good. There's obviously the more interesting one, which is the No-Coup Offensive. I'm not sure if you've done that one. That's the one where you fly.
No,
you actually, it's basically like, you see the zone that you're in right now, the Onaran Plains. That whole zone is a dungeon. And you just fly from location to location to kill the bosses. That was very interesting. It's going to be really bad when you have people that don't know how to dragon ride properly, because they're going to pull things all over the goddamn place. It's going to be very frustrating. But so that one was one of the more original ones. Then the other dungeons, they just kind of like feel like World of Warcraft dungeons. Some were cooler, some were not so cool. Like, for instance, Uldaman. It's incredibly lengthy. Feels so incredibly long, Uldaman, like to the point where at one point I was doing heroic Uldaman and I was saying goodbye to the party after the 4th boss, and I was like, wait, The dungeon's not over yet. There's one more boss.
Yeah, but Uldaman, I mean, so I guess to sort of be fair to Blizzard, I don't think Blizzard dungeons have ever needed to change. It's a system that people like. Even though there are things that I would have done different with dungeons, I realized that maybe then dungeons just isn't for me, and I shouldn't try and fuck with the sort of what do you call it? The recipe that Blizzard have, because a lot of people, you included, love Mythic Plus.
Oh yeah, I love that.
Yeah, so for me, I probably just shouldn't do it. I'm looking forward to seeing what happens when raids open up, when Season 1 comes out. What does Blizzard have planned for Season 1? And then lastly, I guess we should just very quickly discuss professions. Have you fucked with the professions at all?
It's like, one of the things that I've learned is that I don't like crafting things in MMORPGs. I've learned that over the years. I don't like crafting things. It's too much work. I don't like it. So I basically just said, I'm getting mining and herbalism, and I loved it. I love that because I could make a lot of money very fast. And it was just fun running around, grabbing the nodes. And the interesting thing is, even those professions have specializations, which I didn't expect. I expected okay, so you have blacksmithing is going to have specialization for weaponsmithing, for armor smithing, but I didn't expect gathering professions to also have specializations. And there's even this thing where you'll find these Titan touch nodes, which have like a little star on top of them, and they have like circles around and whatnot. And you'll be able to use a special ability that creates a portal. So then you gather that node, and then you go inside the portal, and the portal will sometimes, because it's not working properly most of the times, unfortunately, will teleport you to another node. So you kind of get like 2 for 1. And it's a 12-hour cooldown, but the more you mine, the cooldown gets lowered. So you'll get to do that multiple times. And you do the same thing for herbs. And that has been very cool. So I just run around collecting everything. And then the other thing was also, you know how you can see fishing spots now?
Yeah.
I don't know exactly when they've implemented the thing where you could see fishing spots, because I remember back in the day you couldn't. And a friend of mine told me that, there was like a quest in Mr. Pandaria, and it was like this super thing that you'd have to do, and then eventually it would unlock, and then you would have it. And because I never did that quest, I never had the thing where you could track the fishing spots. But in this expansion, I was just going through, and I can turn this on. So I just turned it on. So I fished the crap out of everything, dude. I maxed out fishing. I just started fishing everywhere, and it was a lot of fun. Yeah,
all right.
To the point where I even unlocked the boat. So there's like this quest that you're gonna do later, where you're gonna go through a boat and you have to pick up a bunch of fish, and then the quest ends. But then you can go back and you can do the quest again. And if you pick up 40 fish when you're in this boat, they just give you the boat, and it's a toy. Easy. It's a toy, but basically it lets you walk on water because you're on top of a boat, and it's really cool because you can fish from that boat.
But there is a fishing raft as well in the
there's
game
a fishing raft, yes.
Yeah, the fishing raft I have unlocked. Although I never fucking use it. Like, just...
No, I instantly jumped on the boat. I was like crazy about it, this boat. Also, the way that I got it was a little bit of a glitch, because the boat goes through super fast when you have to catch these fish, so it's kind of a challenge. But my boat glitched at the end of the ride, and I was like, oh, this is great. So I just like spam caught the same fish for the rest of the time. I was like, this is fantastic. I love this.
I do see people saying that, and the only reason I bring this up is because you obviously have 2 gathering professions. People say that dragon riding with gathering is really annoying.
That's because those people don't know how to fucking dragon ride. Learn, bitch. It's that simple. Just learn how to... See, these are probably the same people that installed the handy notes to get all of the dragon glyphs, but they never bothered actually learning how to fucking dragon ride, because it's super easy to get nodes with dragon riding. Don't even... These are people... Listen, these are people that want to sit there like with a little bit of drool in their mouth and like fucking looking at another screen and automatically collect everything, and they can't do that anymore because they have to press 2 buttons to actually fly around. And they can't handle that. And I was like, dude, shut the fuck up. It's fine. Dragon riding is perfectly fine. I did it.
The comments on this podcast is going to be
I don't care.
After you just said
that. I do not care. Because here's the thing. Initially, I thought the same thing when I didn't know how to dragon ride. When I did, because I got the dragon and I didn't know how to dragon ride, and I was like, I'm trying to get these nodes, and you'd fly by and you'd swoop, and the nodes would be like on top of rocks, and you wouldn't know how am I going to be able to like land exactly on top of this rock, and you just didn't know how to do it because you didn't have the experience. After I've had the experience with dragon riding, bro, I can land the fucking dragon anywhere I goddamn want, and I can collect, and it's not a problem at all.
But I can see vigor being a problem. If you run out of vigor.
But see, that's the thing. Because once you start going down the tree with the dragon, when you gather, it refreshes your vigor faster.
Wait, you mean with your gathering profession?
Yes.
So they kind of do take a little bit of, like, they do take care of that in some way.
Exactly.
Maybe there needs to be some tuning still happening, things like that. I'm not entirely, like, I haven't done any of this shit, right? The only gathering that I have is for cloth, because I'm a cloth tailorer.
Yeah.
So, and enchanting. So I've tailoring and enchanting. So that's literally, yeah. I don't know anything about what the gathering is like. I would have to level my alts in order to see what the gathering professions is like. I can see how some people might get a little annoyed by it, and maybe Blizzard would have to come in at some point and say, okay, we're gonna buff it from 10% to 20% or 30% faster, or whatever the case might be. I think there should also, I don't think it's necessarily wrong to have a little bit of a penalty on landing and gathering something.
Bro. Blizzard needs to come in on top of all those people that are like, gathering's too hard with dragon riding. And Blizzard needs to come in and go like, get good. And just like fucking drop the microphone and be like, hey, listen, bro, just learn how to dragon ride.
Bro, do you have any idea how many people are going to unsub from the channel after that fucking comment?
Don't care. Literally do not care. I do not give a flying fuck. Because literally a flying fuck. That's the best part. I don't give a flying fuck. Like, listen, if you have problem, as someone who has been gathering the entire expansion, more than I've gathered in any expansion, I can tell you it is perfectly fine once you learn how to dragon ride. Now, you can tell me that there's going to be people that are going to be like, well, I don't want to learn to dragon ride. I want to do it the old-fashioned way. And it's like, okay, guess what? You can't. Too fucking bad. Just like end of. Yeah, supposedly you'll eventually be able to do it because they did say that they're going to bring regular flying to the Isles. But I just think that people should consider trying to learn how to dragon ride because it's so much goddamn. I can't do regular flying anymore, dude. If I have to go to Stormwind, I'm like, bro, this fucking sucks. This system blows. Okay, you mean this is so slow.
You mean you don't like regular flying? It's not that you can't do it, because
I can't do it.
You can't do regular flying. That would be a fucking skill issue.
No, like, I can't do regular flying. I can't anymore, dude. I'm done. I'm done with it, dude. It's like it's over. This dragon riding. Give me dragon riding or give me death.
I mean, I do enjoy dragon riding. I think dragon riding fixes all of the problems, as I've already discussed. But there are things that I still have to get used to. So, for example, I'm so used to pressing spacebar just to go higher. And
you can.
I press... No, I know. But you press spacebar and then you spin vigor.
Yes.
Even though you don't want to fucking use vigor right now. So that takes a little bit of getting used to. No, I don't need to use vigor now. But no, I think all in all, you know... and this is probably where we'll move off of World of Warcraft because, as far as I'm concerned, we've sucked Ian's stick nice and clean out, right? They've made up.
And if you were to tell me, right, like when we started this podcast, if you were to tell me that like, oh, Dragonflight's going to launch and you're going to fucking love it and it's going to be amazing, I would be like, nah, bro, it's going to be a piece of shit and I'm going to fucking slam it with everything I've got. Like, that's what I thought was going to happen. But the thing is, at the end of the day, I'm not going to lie. It's just that it just hasn't happened. I could come up with things and be like, this thing is really bad. Like, for instance, you can do a Mythic 0 and not get loot. And I think that's bad.
Yeah, but that's a loot issue. That's always been an issue with WoW.
That hasn't changed. That's been like that for like God knows how many 50 trillion expansions. I still think that there's problems with loot. But the game itself just feels good to play. That's the thing.
It's solid. And that's what I will say. It is fucking solid. I mean, for those that's listening and watching this, We called the podcast Frozen Sodium Throne, the sodium being salt, right? So it is supposed to be a salt mine, because at the time that me and Rurikhan started this podcast, both of us despised World of Warcraft. We fucking hated World of Warcraft. We hated what the game had become. We hated what direction the game was going in. I had nothing good to say about World of Warcraft as far as Shadowlands and BFA is concerned. The last good expansion, as far as I was concerned, was Legion. And before that, it was always good. But then after that, it was just a fucking mess. And now Blizzard comes with the Dragonflight fucking our naming scheme, because suddenly the Salt Boys are praising World of Warcraft and there is so no fucking salt. Right? The thing is, you can nitpick, as you said. There are things that you could probably nitpick on. And there's always going to be. The thing is, I can go and I can be very honest and say that Final Fantasy is an incredible MMO. It is an incredible game, and I loved it. And I still love it. There are things wrong with it. Of course. I can point to a lot of things in Final Fantasy that isn't that great. But overall, when you put all of its components together, it's still a fucking brilliant game. This is true for all games. There are things, just a simple thing on this. The Witcher 3. By and large, my favorite RPG of all time. It has fucking Roach, which is probably the most annoying fucking horse that has ever existed in video games fucking ever. Because Roach can get stuck on shit that it shouldn't get stuck on. Sometimes he'll just spawn on a roof for no fucking reason whatsoever, and you can't get on the roof. But now your Roach is on the roof and you have to run away so that you can call him closer to you. It can happen. Things happen. It has mistakes, and there's a lot of other things that's wrong with Witcher 3 as well. But when you put all of it together, it forms a beautiful whole.
Yeah.
And that is what WoW Dragonflight is. If you put everything together right now, it's phenomenal.
And it's like, I really wanted to get into spoiler territory with you, so I can't wait for you to get to the ending of the quest, because, like, dude, like I told you, this quest fucking goes places, dude. Like, especially that last stretch in Thaldraszus, people will know what I'm talking about in chat. Those of you who've done it, it's just really, really good. And there's going to be a place that you're going to go to that's going to blow your fucking mind. It's going to be so
good. I'm really looking forward to finishing it. The fact that I have load shedding fucking more times than I have actual power,
is
super annoying. It really is annoying, because yesterday, for example, I had 4 hours of daytime playtime. It's not enough, because I only had 2 hours, then load shedding, and then 2 hours again. I can't start the stream for 2 hours. The fuck am I gonna do? So yeah, it's been miserable. Today is another miserable day, but at least we have 4 hours today. So that's okay, at least. So yeah, it is just one of those horrible things right now that I just have to deal with until I can get solar panels installed and crap like that. But yeah, overall, I'm hoping to finish by Sunday. I'm probably going to be playing this weekend as much as my internet, or not my internet, my power company will allow me. So hopefully by Sunday I'm done with the leveling experience.
Then we can do a spoiler cast.
Yeah, but then I also have to play Darktide. Dude, I have so many games that I have to play. Darktide is out, and I haven't touched it yet.
Don't worry too much about that. That's fine. I heard the servers for that are broken anyway, so.
Yeah, but people, like, I have so many fucking DMs on my Discord of people going, dude, let's play Darktide. I'm like, dude, I don't have power. What the fuck do you want me to do? I can't even play WoW. How the hell am I going to play any other games? And I have Witcher coming out in like 2 days. The Witcher remake is coming out, or is it called a remake? It's not a remake. It's a remaster. It's not a
remake. It's the
remaster.
The next gen version.
The next gen, yeah. That's coming out that I really want to play, and I'm not going to be able to play that.
I should replay that on PlayStation 5. That'd be good.
Oh my god. Dude, it's coming out on PC too. You don't need to play it on the peasant console. Get it on the fucking PC.
I own it on PlayStation.
Dude, I own Witcher 3. Actually, I own Witcher 1, 2, and 3 on GOG Gaming, on Steam, and I own Witcher 1 and 2 on the Epic Game Store. I own it on 3 different fucking platforms.
You're like
bro.
trying to give CD Projekt Red all of your money. Take my money, please. Take more of my money.
To be fair, I got Witcher 1 and 2 for free.
They're
on
remaking
the Epic Game
Witcher
Store.
1.
Yeah, they are doing a remake of that. And then I got a bundle for Witcher 1, 2, and 3 on Steam for like $100, not dollars, rands, which is like $5.
Dude.
So I bought it, obviously.
While we're on the topic of Witcher, like, how do you think that the current woke reporters are going to take Witcher 1, where you save a witch and literally fuck her on the same spot that you saved her? It's just like in the middle of gore and monsters, and you're just like, hey, let's have sex. Sounds good.
To be fair, they have already started speaking about it. I saw an article after they announced that they're remaking it, and they went, wow, they'll probably have to rethink the whole sexual card thing in the game. Because for those of you that don't know, when you're playing Witcher 1,
you got to collect all the cards.
Basically, in Witcher 1, you're trying to have sex with as many women as possible because you get cards and you have to collect all the cards. Collect them all now. Right?
Every teenager's dream. Oh, man, you get to bang all the women? Let's go. Kill monsters and bang women. Yes.
True.
It's like, hey, guess what? That's perfectly fine. To anybody that's offended by that, that's perfectly fine. If you don't like it, you know what you can do? You cannot fucking play it. That's what you can do.
But I'm scared that CD Projekt Red will bend the knee to this, and they'll be we probably should change it. Yeah, because part of the game, it is really fun to bang all of these bitches. You know, you are just a badass.
Witches, you mean witches. W.
No, bitches. Some of them are bitches.
Yes,
like one of the girls I had sex with was a prostitute. Wham, bam, thank you, ma'am, right in the end.
Hey, look, she's providing a valuable service to society. There are people out there that they don't get laid enough and they become fucking mass shooters. So these hookers, they're providing a valuable service to society.
Dude, I do not judge women with,
exactly,
shall we say, loose morals. I am not a judger of that. Hey, but no, I think it's going to be cool. And you know that it's not just a straight up remake of the game. I saw an article from the director that's working on it. It is Witcher 1 in Unreal Engine 5, but full open world.
Yes, they're actually changing the game significantly, yes.
Yeah, they're making it effectively like Witcher 3.
Yeah.
The open world full on.
That'll be very interesting to check out, because I never did finish Witcher 1. I played a decent chunk of it, but I didn't finish. Well, I played a decent chunk of it. It was like a 200-hour game or something, so it's like I probably didn't play a decent chunk. Yeah,
it's stupid long, but I didn't finish it either because the combat is just
it ain't good.
Fucking snooze fest, bro.
That is rough. That is very rough. But the next bit that we have here is Diablo 4 is apparently looking good. There's been a bunch of content creators that have had early access, and from what I can tell, most of them are reporting good things. I actually want to potentially do a reaction to the Force video, because Force has been reporting on Diablo like nobody's business. And I'll tell you what, I'm not a fan of the season pass thing, battle pass even, because I just don't like battle passes in games. I think that's terrible.
Yeah, I'm with you there.
But you know, with the way that they've been doing World of Warcraft Dragonflight, the info that we got from Preach's interviews where things are looking better at Blizzard, I'll be like, all right, I'll check it out. I'll see what it's like. And then because I was thinking maybe not even checking out Diablo 4. There was a time where I was like, bro, I don't even know if I want to do this.
Bro, really?
Yes.
Diablo 4, bro. You were thinking of not going back for Lilith?
Yes, I was. And here's the thing. After the Preach interviews and after what has happened with World of Warcraft, which, by the way, I don't know if you're aware of this, but a while ago, when things were at their height with the lawsuits and all of that stuff, I basically said, I am not going to play, even though I've waited decades for it. Diablo 2, one of my favorite games of all times. I waited decades for them to like remaster that game. And when that game came out, I was like, I'm not going to play it. in solidarity for the people over at Blizzard that are like having all of these problems and all of this bullshit. And now that Preach has said what he said, the way the World of Warcraft is going, I was like, okay, I bought it. I bought it on Switch, and I'm eventually going to play through Diablo 2 again. It's going to be good.
See, I won't support them on the remaster because they didn't remaster the base one, which was number 1. But I will definitely be back for Diablo 4. It looks amazing. I liked Diablo 4 literally since the first footage we saw of it. Like, the moment I saw it, I was like, dude, this is what I want from a Diablo game. It looks dark, it looks grim, and that's what it should be. Number 3 was very colorful, very sort of
I'm not against the colorful.
I'm
not against the colorful. I like it. I like the colorful one as well. It's just the problem with Diablo 3 is that the story was complete dog shit.
I wouldn't say the story was horrible. The story was fine.
You wouldn't say it, but it was.
Well, it was fine. It wasn't the worst story they've ever told in Diablo.
In the Diablo universe? Yes, it was.
Yeah, okay. Of the 3 at the time, it was definitely the worst, but it wasn't miserable. It wasn't like Mass Effect Andromeda levels of bad. It was just not.
Well, if that's the bar we're setting, I mean, it's like, well, the game wasn't as bad as Alien Colonial Marines. It's pretty all right. It's like, come on, dude.
I mean, but still, it wasn't. Yeah, okay, I get it. If you're comparing it to the first 2, yes, not that good, but it was fine. Number 4, on the other hand, I love the fact that we're going back to that really grim, really scary, spooky, dark, grotesque, horror-esque kind of world. That's what I want to see in a Diablo game. I also believe that it is an MMO, which is why I will forgive them their battle pass, because it doesn't have a subscription. So they do need some way of monetizing it so that they can continue to release content for it. And anyone that says it is not an MMO, in what way is it not an MMO?
Yeah, it's pretty
much
much
an open world. It is a massively multiplayer online game. There are world bosses. There are dungeons. There is most likely going to be raids. So explain to me in what fucking way this wouldn't be an MMO.
Yeah. So, but yeah, the way that they've been going, I'm like, all right, I'll give it a shot. Yeah. We'll see what it's like, And like I said, I want to react to Force's video where he's going to go into much more detail about that, but just know that a bunch of people had access to it, and overall it seems like people are having a good time. So next up, because we're kind of almost like lightning round mode right now, but next up, Callisto Protocol bombed a little bit.
Yeah. Who knew?
Were you excited about that? Like, I wasn't super. Like, I was like, okay, so the Dead Space was really cool. This looks like it's interesting, but I usually don't do that many horror games. So I was like, whatever. And then they came out with the whole thing about their season pass, including additionally like 13 new death animations. I was like, bro, we're really monetizing death animations. Like, that's the point that we're getting to.
Yeah, you got to monetize everything, walking styles, hairstyles, as much as you can. So I'm not a horror player. No.
Okay.
I don't play horror games at all. I don't like being scared. And I do get scared in games.
But see, that's the thing. That's why the Callisto Protocol is perfect for you, because it's not a horror game.
Yeah, but it still wants to be one. And I don't like
it wants to, but it's not.
See, the thing is, I hate jump scares, and I hate there are even games that I actually enjoy that scares me to the point that I don't even want to play. What was the game that I played not long ago that I genuinely just felt so tense that I wasn't enjoying it? Because it's not so much that I feel scared. It's more that I feel tense, and I don't like being tense. I want to be relaxed when I'm playing video games. Phasmophobia is another one that I can't fucking play that game, bro. It just... I don't enjoy it.
Did your chat probably try to get you to play Amnesia or some bullshit?
No, my chat has tried a lot of things over the years to get me to play scary games. The only time I've ever made an exception for scary games is when I'm playing, when I used to play with my editor on his birthday, because that was like his one wish, is that I have to play Phasmophobia with them. And I fucking hated it every single time. But I did it because, they asked. Yeah. And then I played it with a bunch of content creators not long ago. Like, actually, when it just came out. was like me and a couple of content creators that played it. So I'll play it if it's like, I'll play scary games if it's like with a bunch of content creators or something. Otherwise, I don't give a fuck. I just won't touch that shit.
So,
because not my thing.
But basically the reason that thing bombed is, for starters, on PC, protocol was complete. The performance was complete dog shit. They fucked it up entirely. So the game ran like complete ass. Apparently it ran okay on the PlayStation 5. That was pretty much it. So
dude,
you
how do you get a game that runs fine on PlayStation but then can't run on PC? Like, what the fuck? Okay,
where's your master race now, Accolonn? Where's your master race now, dude, bro?
it just goes to show that Callisto Protocol was created by a bunch of peasants for peasants. they don't know. No, but it's like, look, bro, you can't go to the tavern, the inn, and the innkeeper there that's cooking out of a fucking pot and expect him to make food fit for a king. You have to go to the royal chefs for that shit. And clearly, the guys who developed this, they're not royalty. So they don't understand.
They messed up the PC version of the game. It was really bad. On top of that, they messed up the horror factor of the game, which most people are reporting. It's not an actual horror game. It feels more like a brawler. We're just going through and butchering all of these monsters. They have a weird dodging system, apparently, but that's whatever. And basically, they also complained that a lot of the monsters were just spongy as fuck. So you'd be like wailing on monsters for like half an hour. And it just kind of like takes the suspense away from stuff. It didn't seem like they had a lot of like, the whole thing about, for instance, I don't know if you've ever played Dead Space, but the thing about Dead Space isn't about them throwing monsters at you. Once you see the monster, the fear is gone. You know the monster is there. You know what you have to do. The key to a good horror game is to make it seem like the monster's going to come at you at any time. And you don't know when it's happening. And you're just walking through and you're listening to the sounds. And apparently Callisto Protocol completely fucked this up. They didn't create any suspense whatsoever. And so most people are saying it's not great. And the story of the game, they're saying also it's not that great.
Yeah.
And, me, being the petty motherfucker that I am, I basically went on Twitter and I was like, I don't know what problem Callisto Protocol has, but I'm sure it's nothing that a season pass with a couple of death animations can't fix.
I think
I am a petty bastard, dude. That's me.
So what you're effectively, it's kind of like or it's less a horror game and more like a Doom kind of ripoff. Kind of trying to be a Doom, but isn't a Doom.
It's not even a shooter because you have to mostly do it melee. It seems like it's mostly melee attacks. So yeah, it's kind of weird. Yeah,
dude, Jesus. Okay, the gaming industry just continues to do, to baffle me. When you have like horror games isn't hard, right? Like it's hard. Obviously, all games are hard to make, and it's hard to make really good games. But it's not like it's a brand new genre that no one has ever tried before.
Yeah,
there are literal blueprints of how to make it good, and if you can't even pull that off, then get fucked. So it's good that they failed.
So next up we have Microsoft doing a push to also increase some games to $70. Apparently games like Starfield, this is what you linked to me, games like Starfield are going to be pushed to $70. And the way that I look for this is like, look, you want to push games to $70, okay, push games to $70. Now the thing to me is, the moment you push a game to $70, you instantly lose any kind of excuse that you might have about like, well, I have to sell these skins and I got to sell this other thing. Cause that's what Ubisoft wants to do. Ubisoft's like, okay, we're pushing games to $70. Now we're still going to sell you like fucking mobile coin doublers and XP boosters on our single player open world RPG. And it's like, bro, you can go suck a fat one if that's what you want to do. So if you want to push it to $70, push it to $70, but don't you fucking dare come around and be like, oh, I'm a nickel and dime you for all of these other things. Because people are always coming at me with the argument, video games are more expensive to develop now. And this is something that I always push back on, because like, you're not wrong. It is more expensive, technically speaking, to develop a video game. But why is it more expensive to develop a video game? Did you invest in new development technologies? Did you invest in the engine that you are using to create this game? Are you investing in this thing, or are you sending all of your profits towards your investors, because fundamentally,
Yeah.
it has never been as easy as it is right now to develop video games. And the proof of that, you have it in the amount of indie developers that are coming out, either using Unreal Engine or using Unity or using whatever the other tool they choose to use. There's
Frostbite
now more
engine.
in the no, not Frostbite. We don't use that one. But there's now more in
the only time I will allow microtransactions is if the guy actually developed with the Frostbite engine. Because then you can say that this was very expensive.
This was very hard.
Long fucking time. Yeah, it was very hard to design this game.
Developing in Frostbite is almost like shooting yourself in the foot and then trying to run a marathon. It just doesn't work quite well. But so it's like there's now more indie developers almost than ever. There's now more smaller teams almost than ever. And you can't tell me that it's like, oh, it's just way more expensive. Because on top of it, the gaming audience is also bigger than ever. There's a lot more potential market for you to reach. So yes, it is technically speaking more expensive if you are investing like in stuff like 4K textures and stuff like that. But if you're just developing a game and you're not going like for super high-end 4K assets, which by the way, it's probably what Callisto Protocol did, I'm assuming, like, because the game looked visually impressive, but they fucked up everything else about the game. So it's like, who cares how good your game looks? It's like a polished turd, right?
Yeah.
It's like, look, get your shit together. My opinion is like, if you want to go for the $70, okay, but don't fucking nickel and dime me. You get the $70 and you get nothing else. You give me the full game experience. No, like, oh, and a week from now we're releasing the skin, the horse armor, or any of this other bullshit. Okay, that's the way that I look at the $70
the
thing.
day one fucking DLC. I'll say so. The argument here becomes very weird because most gamers don't really focus on that shit. For the longest time, we have been told by the gaming industry that we can't just charge $60 because we've been charging $60 for the last 2 decades. And really, if we wanted to make money, we would have to charge $70. But because gamers have historically been very, very anti-paying $70, we have to charge $60, but then also put cash shops in it. And it's like, okay, yeah, all right. I'm sort of following your logic. Not really, but okay, I can follow your logic there. Now they are charging $70, but now the argument is once again starting to shift from the greedy gaming companies, where they're going, actually, we have to charge $80 if we don't want to have cash shops. So we're charging $70 in cash shops. And it's like, bro, you're going to keep having that argument for the rest of fucking time because clearly you want the cash shops in there. You know, so stop fucking lying. Keep pushing, just stop pushing the envelope. We know that you want the cash shops in there and you want to charge $70 for it. Now, to the argument that people do want to make of saying, well, it's more expensive to make video games nowadays, most of that isn't really due to the video games themselves, because there are games out there that are phenomenal, that doesn't have the best graphics that you have ever seen, that doesn't have the greatest voice acting that you've ever seen, but they're still solid, good fucking video games. The reason most video games today are stupidly expensive is because most companies have spend just insane amounts of money on the face of the game. A good example of this would be Cyberpunk 2077. Cyberpunk 2077, I guarantee you, was exponentially more expensive because they needed to have Keanu Reeves in there. They wanted to pay Keanu Reeves to be the face of Johnny, which is fine, but you could have gotten literally anyone else and people would have still liked Johnny and people would have still probably people may have felt better about the game because you would have taken the money that you didn't spend on Keanu Reeves to actually fucking make the game work from the get-go. Yep. So most of these gaming companies aren't really spending that much money on the actual game development. They're spending on advertising and marketing and getting faces of celebrities behind their games rather than just making good, solid fucking video game.
And let me give you an example of a company that just released a really good video game at the $60 price range for pretty much every platform, every current platform that there is. And that game is currently in the lineup to be Game of the Year. That game also does not have any type of cosmetic cash shop, does not have any type of like bullshit pre-order nonsense. There are pre-order goodies, there are physical goods. There's nothing in the actual game that can give you an advantage in any way, actually, because there's just no in-game items in their pre-order shit. And it's Elden Ring, motherfuckers. So it's that simple. If Elden Ring can do it, what the fuck are all you motherfuckers doing then? It's like, oh, it's got to be $70. Otherwise, we're not going to make enough money. It's like, no. Suck a dick. Yeah. It's that simple. It's like, look. Sort yourselves out. Sort yourselves out. Figure yourselves out. And here's the thing. From Software's been doing this since fucking Dark Souls 1. Since Dark Souls 1, with everyone going like, oh, we need a store, we need a shop, we need a $70, we need to just get just a little bit more of your money. And the thing is, whenever people come to defend this practice, I'm always like, listen, bro, you think those $10 are going back to the developers? You actually think that? I have a bridge to sell you on fucking Mars, if you believe that.
So the thing that I look at for most of this, though, is like you said, From Software with Dark Souls and Elden Ring and all those. Yeah. But then at the same time, CD Projekt Red, right? Which again, all of their games, at least all of their single player RPGs, have no cash shops. It comes with a $60 price tag, and that's it. And that's it. They make their money. In fact, their CEO himself said they make their money. They make more than enough money. They don't need to have a cash shop in there either. It's just the way it is. And I don't want to shit on cash shops because I think there are people that kind of like it. I just hate the fact that it's become so entrenched in the video game industry and in the video game culture now that cash shops are just literally everywhere. And people almost act surprised when they're not in the game. And we can't, and this is the one thing that I think can't be overstated. The gaming audience have not just it's not doubled, it's not quadrupled. It's probably tenfold, if not 100-fold.
Yeah, I don't know how much it is, but it's way more.
Just to be like, let's just put this into perspective. Back in the days of like Baldur's Gate 1 and Baldur's Gate 2 and Warcraft 1 and shit like that, if you could sell like 1 million to 2 million copies of your game, that was incredible. That was like game of the year fucking games that would sell like maybe 1 to 3 million copies of their game. That's in the entirety of a year. Nowadays, that's like in the first 3 days. Games are selling 1 million to 3 million copies. Over the course of its lifetime, it will sell 45, 50, 60 million copies before the end of it. So while, yes, the games have become more expensive to develop, you're also selling a shit ton more copies than what you've ever done in the past. So it is just complete bullshit to say, well, we need the cash shops because otherwise...
And let me tell you something. I will actually support a cash shop if the developer goes and does like, okay, listen, we're putting this cash shop in here with a couple of cosmetic items, but we'll give you items of comparable value for doing things in the game. And these are not things that take like 20 hours or something ridiculous like this. Like, hey, you do like this special event and you get like an item that is of comparable value to something that we're selling you in the store. The problem is that very few of these companies ever do this, and you end up in situations where the store has much more valuable items than what you can get in game. And that's the point where I'm like, well, that's not cool. That fucking sucks. Because what about people that can't afford your store? I guess they're fucked, huh? I guess they're not customers like everybody else, which that's the thing that I don't like. And I've actually had to push back on some of this in Monster Hunter because they've been doing certain things where they sell some things in the store where there's no items of comparable value in the game. And I've been very blatant about it. I'm like, look, I don't like this. I think that kind of sucks. But people come back and be like, oh, I want to support them. And I was like, yeah, sure. I mean, I love the games too, but I'll support some things, but I'm not going to support everything. So, that is what it is.
For me, I think the if I were to develop a game, the way that I would do it is everything that is on the cash shop is also in the game. It's just very difficult to get. So if you want to get it in the game, you're going to go through a lot of either achievement hunting, and those achievements are actually going to be a challenge. So for those players that want the achievement plus the item that comes with it, they can get it in the game. And then for those players that literally couldn't give two fucks, just buy it off the store. That's if I had to put a cash shop in. I probably wouldn't. If I made a video game, there would be no cash shop because I would have to punch myself in the nuts in order to okay the fucking cash shop. So I don't like it.
Moving right along, Gabe Newell is a Giga Chad, while Sony and PlayStation are basically just my Call of Duties and I'm so because they kind of like keep going down this self-deprecating route where Microsoft says, but you guys have way better exclusives, and then Sony says, but you guys have a better Game Pass, and they're all going like back and forth. Apparently, they sent an email out to Gabe Newell about something about continuing to bring Call of Duty to Steam.
Yeah, basically just before you say what Gabe said, basically they sent an email to Gabe and Steam and said, hey, we want to enter into an agreement with you that we will be bringing COD and all of our games to Steam for the next 10 years just to make sure that you guys are okay with it. And then Gabe said, and
then Gabe just goes like, I don't give a fuck. Gabe's just like, we expected you to do that. As a matter of fact, we're not going to sign any agreements, and we still expect you to fucking do it. Because we're the dominant fucking platform on PC. It's like, I'm sure you'll want to come where the gamers are, so I'm sure you'll want to keep releasing these games here because it's in your best fucking interest, motherfucker. It's like, I don't care.
Yeah. Gabe was just like, he just walked into that party with his cock out, and he was like, bro, I have a big dick. What am I going to say? I don't need your petty fucking promises. You'll bring your game to me because I am the best.
I'm actually imagining just like a fucking Gabe Newell old man completely naked, with like a foot-long schlong with just like chuck full of white pubes, just like, I don't care.
See, the thing with Gabe Newell, this is one of the reasons Steam has never offered. So I'm sort of conflating a bunch of interviews here because this is in an interview about 2 years ago, Gabe Newell was asked why Steam has never engaged in exclusives. Because for those of you that don't know, Steam is like one of the richest companies in the gaming industry. They make billions of dollars every single year. Like, they could do exclusives, and it would, like, if Steam decided to do exclusives, no one would have games. Basically, all games would be exclusive to Steam. That's where you would go to buy them. And Gabe literally just said, well, gamers will decide what they like to use based on what's the best. And Steam is the best. So we don't need to do exclusives. People will use Steam. And that's it. Like, even when Epic Games came out with their aggressive fucking exclusive push, Gabe just went, all
right. Cool. You do you.
Yeah, let's see how that goes for you, fam. Because Steam has everything that works, right? It has a great friend system. It has a great chat system built into it. It is so fucking easy to get your games installed, to get your games fixed. There's an entire community tab. It's so easy to get mods for games on Steam. So at the end of the day, someone like Gabe Newell they don't care. And it is just such a Giga Chat response. Sony and all of these other guys are crying their eyes out because Microsoft is buying Activision. And Gabe's just like, good luck to you, fam.
Yes.
We'll see your next game on Steam.
Anyway.
If we don't, you'll sell less copies. It's simple as that.
Yeah. So for our last bit of news, there was an article that you linked me from Days Gone, which apparently the Days Gone game director blamed his middling reviews on woke reviewers and tech issues. So I'm not sure if he's talking about the PC version or the PlayStation version. I played the PlayStation 4 version back in the day. And he says there's 3 reasons the game had tech issues like bug streaming and frame rate. Yes, it did. Maybe you should have fixed those, and maybe the reviews would have been better.
Nice, actually.
It would have been cool.
Would have been a good idea.
But then it said it had reviewers that couldn't be bothered to actually play the game, which doesn't surprise me because the game was actually a little bit challenging, and I don't remember if it had multiple difficulty modes or not, because it has been a while since I've played it. I did play the whole game, and I think I even platinumed it. I think I might have platinumed this one because I was like, I was actually enjoying the game quite a bit.
But just on that point, it had reviewers that didn't actually bother to play the game. that is something that actually happens a lot. So, and nowadays, a lot of the gaming press will even brazenly admit it. So they'll be like, so I played 2 hours of this game, here's my review. It's like, bitch, if you're going to do a review, 10 hours minimum, like, potentially finish the fucking game. But if you can't finish the game, 10 hours minimum.
No, here's the thing. I think we need to go back to, because I feel like Total Biscuit actually set some pretty good guidelines for this, which is, hey, guess what? If you don't finish the game, you don't get to call your video a review. Like, that's the way that I look at it. I don't call, unless if I'm doing a first impressions, I'll label it as a first impression. I'm like, hey, look, I've played like God knows how many hours of this game. Here's how I feel about it, right? It's not a review, because I haven't finished the game. You can't review the game until you finish the game, because you don't know what's the plot twists at the end of the game, what's the deal with it, and whatever. And then he also says that something about some of the reviewers being woke, and apparently I'm assuming they would think the character was sexist or something. And it's like, look, this is an apocalyptic scenario, and this character is actually, in my personal opinion, is not sexist. Because from what I've played the game, he's a biker. He's a biker, and this is just kind of like how bikers would act.
He's a
like,
dude.
That's it. And it's not even like he's overly toxic and just like super sexual. As a matter of fact, this is a very reserved character. Like, he's a character that kind of just like keeps to himself throughout most of the game. He's not that outspoken through my experience of the game. But
you see, this is just that the media and the Twitter folk have this war that they wage on masculinity on behalf of no one, because the vast majority of women do not agree with most of the shit that these people believe. Most women that I know of, at least, like to be looked at, and I'm not talking about the creepy guy that fucking comes into your bathroom or looks through your window.
Jesus Christ.
I'm talking about if you walk down the street and a guy physically looks at you, a girl feels fucking noticed. She likes that. It means that, oh my God, I'm sexy.
I don't think all of them. I don't think all of them like it, but I would argue that some of them do. Yes, for sure.
I think most. I mean, it's nice to be it's nice to be wanted.
But the interesting thing, the interesting thing about Days Gone, as someone who actually played the whole game, is that initially when I first started playing the game, I didn't like it either. And not only I didn't like it, I've told as much to the people over at the PlayStation. I said the game was not good when I initially played it like that. That's because I got invited for an early gameplay of Days Gone, and I'm always going to say the things the way that I feel that they are, and it doesn't matter to who I say them, because to me it's like, look, I'm always going to be true, and if I'm ever going to be blocked by a company that I'm working with because I said something that I believe is true, then that's too fucking bad, but I'm not going to lie.
Yeah.
So I was invited. I went there and I played a little bit of the game, and that early version of the game that we had access to, it was not very well polished. The shooting didn't feel good. The bike riding didn't feel particularly good. And they were just like, the game was just not very polished. And one of the senior people at Sony, as I was leaving, he asked me, hey, so how'd you like it? Like, what'd you think about it? And I was like, I think it's really bad right now. I don't think that this is going to do very well if it releases like this. And here's the problems that I think that are in the game. I said this, and he was like taken aback that I would just like say it like that, because I'm sure that a majority of people were like kissing his ass and saying, oh, this is going to be amazing. It's going to be so good. And I'm like, no, I'm never going to lie. Like, if I think a game is good, I'll tell you it's good. If I think it's bad, I'll tell you it's bad, because hopefully some of that feedback goes back to the team and they can actually do something to improve it, which they did. They improved on the game significantly, but it was still not enough for the beginning of the game, because there was something about the beginning of the game. I don't remember exactly what it was, because I did a video where I said, I don't know, I'm not having a good time with the game. But then the more I played it, it got better, and it got way better to the point where by the time I got to the end, I was just having a blast. Because the whole thing about the game is like you have these hordes of zombies, like actual fucking hordes, and you get to trigger them, and it's just like fucking, you're talking 200 plus mobs just coming at you with really good looking visuals on a PlayStation 4, right? This explodes the damn console with all of these things being rendered at the same time. And then the whole thing becomes you managing the way that you kill this horde. So you'd set up traps, you'd prepare everything, and then just destroy everything. And that was fun. It was fun to solve that puzzle and to just experience the game like that. It's like I said, I I remember the game being somewhat challenging, so it doesn't surprise me that for a lot of reviewers, they didn't even finish the game. There were problems in the game, but I don't think it was that bad. I think it was a pretty okay game.
I think overall, this is just because I just want to be clear. I never played the game, so I am sort of going off of just what I've seen in the past from games that I have played and the complaints that have come through from games that I have played in the past. You know, where people will complain about all manner of crap that doesn't matter in any way, shape, or form. And we can run the gauntlet here of things that people will sometimes complain about that is just stupid as fuck. So on the one side, you'll have people that complain about something like Kingdom Deliverance, Kingdom Come Deliverance, or some shit like that. What's the game called? It's Deliverance Kingdom Come.
It's Kingdom Come Deliverance. No, you're right.
Yeah, Kingdom Come Deliverance. That's the one. People will complain about that because there's not enough black people in there. It's like, yeah, but it's the Middle Ages in Europe.
Yep.
If the game took place in Africa and it was just like there were white people, we'd be surprised. We're like, where the fuck did these white people come from? But then on the other side, you have people complaining that there's a black elf. And it's like, you realize this is a fantasy fucking world, right? Like, if you can find the elves in real life and show us that there are no black elves, we could have this discussion. But as long as this is just a world that exists in a video game, they can be whatever the fuck color they want to be. Like, just shut the fuck up. No one cares about this. So it's like both sides just complain about stupid shit. And so that's basically where I'm coming from. I can see how people could like get really sort of offended by shit that shouldn't really offend you in any way, shape, or form because it doesn't matter. Is the game good? Is the game not good? That's ultimately what it should come down to.
It's also like if you're able to have like a controversial take or something that generates rage clicks, that's also good for business. So a lot of times that also ends up being the way that that it goes. You know. However, I'm very disappointed because I just read the ending of this article. I'm very disappointed to learn that Garvin, the guy who is talking here, is now leading Ashfall, which is described as the first true Web3 AAA title for PC. Bro,
Dude, I got literally this morning. This morning I opened my emails, and I have an email from a company. And immediately, because usually they'll tell you that this is an NFT project, you know?
Yes.
But they tell me about this game that they have, and they really want to sponsor me playing the game on my Twitch, and they're willing to pay me $2,500 for 4 hours playing it on Twitch. Dude, I'm like, bro, $2,500 to play a game for 4 hours? Fuck yeah. I would have to find the 4 hours during load shedding, but I could do that for $2,500. And then I thought to myself, wait, before I say yes to this, or at least start the process,
is it Web3?
let me just check out this fucking game, right? Because they gave me the link to their game and everything. Click on it, and it goes, it's an open world RPG game, and you can collect NFTs as you go.
Yes,
I'm like, oh,
NFTs, bro, let's go.
So yeah, I have to block another fucking sponsor, bro. It is just the saddest thing ever, man. I could be rich if I accepted all of the NFT games that I get sponsored.
Yes.
Fuck. I should lower my moral standards.
What about Raid Shadow Legends though, dude? I have so many Raid Shadow Legends offers.
I think they gave up on me. Like I haven't had a Raid Shadow Legends in months. It's been months that they've just left me alone because they kept. This was actually one of the few companies that I didn't just ignore. Every single time Raid Shadow Legends emailed me, I emailed them back saying, "No, thank you. I don't play your game." And I
don't even email them back. I just ignore them. This is just like
no. I mean, I email back. I literally email back every single time saying, "No, I don't play mobile games. They're shit."
You're gonna be sending a lot of emails. I'll tell you that right now.
No, not if you have it. Like I had a notepad where I just had this copy that I hate mobile games.
You just copy paste it.
Yeah, I despise mobile games, but they've stopped. They don't ask me anything anymore. Now it's just the NFT games. It's just fucking every week. There's an NFT company that wants to sponsor me. Like I could easily, if I wanted to, I could make, let's say between $5,000 and $6,000 a month just by doing one NFT project a week.
Yeah.
And it would take no work whatsoever. Just in one of my videos, 45 seconds, just a little ad there that goes, hey guys, check out this new NFT game.
Imagine having standards.
Yeah, it fucking blows, bro. It means you're poor most of the time.
Yes.
But at least I don't have to fucking deal with NFT games. Because that's just the biggest scammers on the planet, man.
Anyway, guys, we're going to be calling the podcast here. Those were all of our topics. Hopefully you guys enjoyed it. Looks like World of Warcraft is back on the menu for a lot of us, and it's a good time, interestingly enough. So we'll see how that progresses. But so far, so good. Thank you all very much for watching. There's going to be links to all the things in the description of the video. And yeah, we'll see you guys in the next one. Stay strong. Stay safe. Peace out.
Peace.